And hello, everybody. Yeah, as you can see, we got Matt here. Don't mind the fact he's laying back a little bit. Kind of overdid it today, or had a sneezing fit or something, and back. That actually happens.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone knows I got a bad back, um, and I've been spending the last year trying to get my health back, and I've run into a lot of roadblocks lately. Not just with diet, but with being physically able to do what I needed to do. And last night, I just started sneezing. I just had a sneezing fit. We all have them, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I pulled a muscle in my the right side of my back. So just everybody, if you hear me cough a little and make some noise, if you hear me move a little and make some noise, I'm fine. I just needed to chill, and this was the best place to do it. I thought about doing this from my recliner, but it's still daylight outside, and it would the gleam would have came in on the camera here. So this was the best place to do it for me, just to sit back and chill. And everyone in the vape stew and the cool kids are used to seeing me in this position anyway. So it's all well and good. It's not. Usually I like to try to be a little bit more professional and have a setup, and um, usually with my vape cabinet behind me, and with LED lights, and try to make it look kind of cool. I mean, you see the way Tim's got things set up. You know,
Mm. Okay.
yeah. Uh, no, I love it, man. You got your banner back there. You got some stuff on the shelves. It looks pretty cool. But so I'm good. I'm just going to be moving around a little bit, and but just trying to relax and stay out of pain as much as possible. So let's do this, shall we?
You shall. And yes, I did put a question in chat, and I can ask you guys again. Who's your favorite wrestler? And there can be, sadly, I can say there can be multiple answers. We realized when we were trying to talk it over, because your favorite wrestler's not always can be like your favorite quality wrestler, because you know as well as I do, some of them have talent way over others, and then there's others that just were fun to watch. So it's kind
Yeah.
of hard.
There are
Uh,
some of my favorite wrestlers that weren't actually good wrestlers.
yep.
They weren't actually good at all, but they were just fun to watch because of their characters. And I used to just love and look forward. Last weekend was WrestleMania 38.
Yep.
When I think about that, I was 12 years old when my father took me to see WrestleMania 3 on closed circuit at the Anaheim Convention Center, seeing Hulk Hogan body slam Andre the Giant. And I mean, that was the attraction. The best match on the show was the Macho Man Randy Savage against Ricky the Dragon Steamboat
Oh yeah.
Intercontinental title match. And that was, I mean, ironic. What's crazy is that match still holds up today. But that was
Does
WrestleMania 3.
and I wasn't thinking. I forgot about Ricky. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
you just made me re-question some of my thoughts on this whole favorite. We might have to wait till the end of the show to decide these because I got stuff rattling in my head because there's so many great wrestlers. I mean, like you've talked about this before with me. Maybe not the most talented in the ring, but no
Yeah.
one can deny the heart and the ability to take pain that Foley had. Nobody can deny that. He put his body on the line for
Mick
this one.
Foley?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
but
yeah.
uh,
Mick
but
Foley is, like you said, what you saw him do in the ring wasn't always pretty, wasn't the greatest technical wrestler, although he knew what to do. That was the thing about Foley.
yeah,
He knew how to do all that stuff. There was just stuff that he couldn't, that didn't look right for him doing. And it was better that he did it, went the other way. So, I mean, I'm glad that we got Cactus Jack and Mankind before we ever saw Dude Love,
oh yes,
so.
yes. Even though Dude Love was actually predecessor to the other, we just never saw it, thankfully.
Yeah,
um,
no.
yeah, some chat's already kind of rolling here with some of this, and it's actually very interesting. And
Yeah, I
WrestleMania
can't.
moments that
I'm
are already
I'm
coming
getting
out.
old. I'm getting old, Tim. So I got my TV on the other end of the room here. So I got if I pull the chat up, um, hang on a second here. Let me. Does that say live chat? Let's see if that comes up. But then again, I don't have my glasses on, so um,
I just want to, give
Getting
some
old
credit,
sucks.
give some praise to, some of the old greats and even the new ones. There's a few that really have some talent now that shine. And, let's
Yeah.
give some praise to some of them before we get into this more serious topic that you wanted to discuss tonight. So,
Well,
yeah.
and first of all, thank you. I had suggested this show after the death
Yep.
of Scott Hall. Scott Hall was a very big influence on me. I didn't know him, but he's one of those guys along with Kevin Nash and Triple H, Shawn Michaels, X Pac, the whole clique. If I'd have came up when they'd have came up, or if I'd have came up when they were coming up, I think we all would have been friends. I'd have been part of. I'm not necessarily say I'd have been in the clique, but I would have been friends with those guys because the passion for the industry and the passion for the business, and the passion for wrestling, I shared that with them, and those guys were really big influences as far as especially Scott Hall and Triple H. Um, as far as my ring style, the way Scott Hall threw punches, his timing, uh, his attitude. I was really influenced when I started my career. He was a guy that I watched and studied. You start as a fan, but then you become a student as you're watching wrestling. Um, but we just had WrestleMania 38. I mentioned, WrestleMania has now become a 2 night event. There's shows on. They had the Hall of Fame on Friday, where Undertaker finally got inducted into the Hall of Fame. He gave an hour long speech. It was more like a motivational speaking event, which was great.
Yep.
And then Saturday we had night one of Mania, which featured the return of Stone Cold Steve Austin after
Yes.
19 years. Which was just absolutely just amazing to watch, and also the return of Cody Rhodes
Yep.
after 6 years. And Cody's got quite an interesting story. If you look at what's happened in the last 6 years, he left WWE 6 years ago after doing the Stardust gimmick,
Oh,
which he hated, and it was
we all did.
basically, yeah, nobody liked Stardust. And then he started going out on the Indies, went to Japan, went to TNA, went to Ring of Honor, and he completely reinvented himself. And then he, along with Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Hangman Adam Page, uh, got together with Tony Khan, who financed the whole thing, and started AEW. And AEW has really rejuvenated my love for wrestling. You know, over time, I've gotten, I kind of, I always paid attention to what's going on. But it got to the point where when it came to watching WWE, I was really just watching the highlights on YouTube. And if there was an occasional match I heard about, I would watch. And occasionally, I would go on the network and go back to watch old matches, like we were talking about Ricky Steamboat and Randy Savage. But when AEW started, and then with the return of CM Punk and
Yep.
Brian Danielson jumping over there and Adam Cole jumping over there, and this huge influx of wrestlers coming in, it really it rejuvenated my love for wrestling. And there's a lot of guys in AEW that I either came up with or came up behind me. And I'm so happy for people that ask me, are you jealous that you're not? No, 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 no. I've gotten over that. My career ended. It ended the way it did. It's just the way things are. I used to be bitter about it. I used to have a chip on my shoulder about it. But over time, I've matured and gotten older and just understood that. I think I've said this on your show before, and I've said this in other shows. I got to do something that I always wanted to do since I was 10 years old. Did I have ultra success? No, I didn't. I had small success. I made a little bit of money, but it wasn't, I never made it to the dance, so to speak. And that's fine. That's fine. I got farther than a lot of other people have. I've seen guys spend one day at wrestling school and then turn and never come back. To train a whole summer, turn around, never come back. Have one match, get injured, never come back. You know, uh, there were circumstances in my case. When I was at my peak, one company or three companies became one. We lost WCW, we lost ECW,
Yep.
and then but at the same time, I also had a number of concussions, a number of injuries, and then I was diagnosed with testicular cancer. But and and I could sit there and blame that all I want, and I used to, but there was also some factors of I just, there were mistakes I made, fact, and issues that I was dealing with, and it cost me. It cost me, and even then, even if I had not made any of those mistakes, there were still no guarantees. Who knows what could have happened? So I'm not bitter about that anymore. I'm very a little envious, but I'm very happy for those guys in AEW. Some of the guys that I came up with, or came up behind me, and I'm so super stoked for those guys. But I tell you what, that WrestleMania 38, Cody Rhodes returning to WWE after 6 years, the roof blew off the joint, almost literally. They were so happy to see him, and it was such an amazing story. You're gone for 6 years. I see you're reading the chat, and I can't see what's going on in the chat. But six
Well, they're
years
picking on
gone.
Lady Liberty. They're picking on her about her age.
Okay. Well, that's
Because
good.
she was born 1
Um,
month and 3 days before the first WrestleMania. So they're calling her
okay.
a
Well, I
baby.
was born. I was born way before that. So,
Yeah.
you know, uh, so it's such an amazing story with Cody. He was, you know, not very desirable, not very looked at as someone who was going to be anybody in the business. He left, reinvented himself, shook up the industry, started a competitive promotion, or helped start, and then came back. And that entrance and the way the fans reacted, there's I don't think there's ever been a louder pop at Mania ever.
I'm just happy that he came back without having to bring back that Stardust gimmick because that was terrible. Terrible gimmick for him. He was like locked into it and they wouldn't even let him win with it because it wasn't meant to. He's just supposed to be a sideshow.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah, no, it was just mid Carter, but now he's back, and he completely, like I said, he went out and he had music, the band Downstraight, I think, or Downstight. I can't remember what the exact how you pronounce the name of the band, and I'm sorry for that. But they wrote the theme song, Kingdom, and gave him the rights to it. So he was able to bring that from AEW to WWE. The
oh,
look,
nice.
everything. The American Nightmare name, that was part of the deal with going back. Is he told Vince McMahon, he goes, I have to be me. I have to be the American Nightmare. I have to be Cody Rhodes. I have to have my theme music. I have to have my look. I have to have everything that. And Vince McMahon, according to Cody, said, "It ain't broke. This is what we're paying for. We want you." So, and Vince at 76 years old is also, probably being very sentimental about a lot of things. He had a long history with Dusty Rhodes. Dusty had worked for Vince Senior.
Yep.
So I think things are going to turn out very well for Cody. I mean, yeah, it's WWE, so you never know what kind of idiotic things some writers are going to come up with. But I don't think
Yeah.
Cody will allow it. I don't think Cody will allow it to happen. And it would be really shitty if they they're going to promote him up and then bury him because of some like bitter bullshit over some of the things he said over the years and some of the things he'd done. But I highly, highly doubt any of that will happen. I think he's got a really good shot at becoming world champion and becoming a name, a real big name in WWE. You know, he could be the guy that beats Roman.
That's
We'll
possible.
see. It's very possible. I don't think
And
so. I
if
think
you've
they're going to keep them
watched,
apart, but we'll see.
and if you've watched, you kind of see McMahon losing some of the older wrestlers, still trying to utilize all the older ones he can, and you can tell he's getting that sentimental. Just the way things are going, the way it's getting stirred up, bring Stone Cold back for a match for WrestleMania. I mean, this kind of stuff kind of feels like he's getting sentimental. Having to retire Undertaker, we all know that he didn't want him to, kept enticing him back every time he tried to leave.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
He also gave Undertaker a lifetime contract
yep,
after he retired. So Taker is, Taker will be a goodwill ambassador and go on,
yep.
promotional events for the company and make occasional appearances here and there. But he's done wrestling, and but yeah, that was something that Vince has only inducted two people into the Hall of Fame. The first one being Stone Cold Steve Austin,
Yep.
the second one being Undertaker, and that's because of his gratitude. Usually, Vince doesn't want his name mentioned at the Hall of Fame. He doesn't want to be seen at the Hall of Fame. He doesn't want it to be about him at all. You know, But I mean, over the last, I'd say the last 10 years, Vince knew he was getting older, and he tried to make amends with a lot of guys. It's Bruno Sammartino, superstar Billy Graham, with just different people within the industry that there was a lot of bitterness, and
Yep.
you don't want to go to your grave having any of that bitterness. You don't want to. You want to
No.
make amends, and because at the end of the day, whatever it was fucking stupid anyway. You know,
Yeah.
nobody murdered anybody. Nobody
And
killed anybody's
and that
child.
actually, like you just said, I thought about that too when Stone Cold came back right after that was like almost perfect. You got the other person that was mentioned that he was a part of being inducted. Both of
Yeah,
them there, and one's actually wrestling out of nowhere.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
and um, it was really it was really magical. That first night at Mania was, and not the second night was terrible. I mean, I just thought the first night was better than the second night. Um, well, I tell you what, though, Vince took the worst stunner on the second night, the worst stunner in wrestling history,
I know. I heard.
and it was all you could do is laugh about it because just how ridiculous it was. From my understanding, everybody backstage was either on the ground laughing or holding their sides. Videos have been put out by people who weren't there. Mick Foley, in particular, put out a video. Put out his son was recording him, his reaction to watching Vince take that stunner, and oh my God, they've done a good job of editing it so they
To
can
make it
show
look
it.
good.
Yeah, make it look good.
Oh, you mean like the
But
John Cena and Taker match, the last one they had when he didn't know if Taker was actually coming, so he started actually really drinking, and the kick that Taker made was that far from his face. They
yeah,
readjusted the camera angles,
yeah,
But the
goes
very
on all
first
the time.
live, you watched him miss him. It's like he had a ghost kick or something.
It happened on Raw actually. Cody's got his entrance where he comes up through what he calls the Cody Vader, little elevator that brings him up, right? Well, they built the thing to where it wasn't tall enough, so the top of his head was sticking out like he was stuck in a sauna or or a box or something. And when they put the camera on him for that the live East Coast feed, you could see it for a second before the thing started raising. You go to the West Coast feed, and what they're showing now, they cut to the camera shot where he's already coming up.
Yeah, yeah,
So but there's the damage was done. There's already memes,
yep.
and Cody was joking about it on Tuesday on the bump. He goes, yeah, they'll make me mad at you, and but it's doesn't matter. It's fine.
Yeah.
Um, but overall, it's a great time to be a professional wrestling fan.
And that's just it. The glamour's there when you're in the ring, you're in the spotlight. That's great. That's the best thing ever. But
Let me give a
unfortunately,
quick
there's
shout out. Oh, I'm sorry,
yep.
Tim. Go ahead.
Go no,
No,
go
I
ahead.
said let me give a quick shout out to the Shed Time
Oh yeah,
podcast.
that's right. You got that.
I won a contest, and I was awarded this tenacious unicorn that was custom powder coated by Mr. Ashton Palmer himself. And I have not put this thing down. I just rewicked it. This is absolutely beautiful.
There's one more thing. Frames had a little to do with that one too. I think when he was there.
Yeah, no, it was Frames
Yeah.
as part of the Showtime podcast.
No, but Frames also helped with some of the coding on that. I believe when he was there that one time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it was so cool. And I also give a little shout out to not the real Gerard Butler, who when I won this posted "fuck that guy." So fuck you too, Lee. Lee's my boy. Lee's become one of my closest friends.
That's the most tenacious unicorn vape out there, because that one there, I mean, Stan Color is 100% of the way right there.
Yeah, but it's beautiful, and I got my favorite e-liquid, super good, the Pear Fizz Champagne.
Oh yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is an amazing e-liquid. And other than this, and I got a sub-ohm tank nearby. It's got some Rocket Blast in it. This is all I've been vaping. I can't put it down. It's amazing.
It's pretty amazing looking. And yeah, thank you, chat. I've been watching chat. Sorry I haven't been responding to you guys. I've been listening intently to Matt here go. And yeah, chat's got some memories of different things. It looks like Frank's been to quite a few shows. So that's awesome. I have never been to a live WWE event. Been near
Now
them.
this
We meant to go to them. Never actually have been to one.
they're something else. They're I mean, just any live wrestling show. Even I mean, you really want to have a lot of fun. Go to an indie show. Go to a local show. I mean, you'll see some good wrestling. You'll see some really bad wrestling, but same thing with WWE.
Yeah.
Um, and AEW is going to be making their way out here soon. They're going to be at the Forum, and they're going to be where else are they going to be? In Ontario, they're going to be out here, and then I think Double
Oh
or
yeah.
Nothing is going to be in Las Vegas. So I've gotten to the point now where I don't really, I've been to so many shows and I've been on so many shows, and unless it's like there's some people there that I'd really like to see, you know, I don't really go to shows anymore. Especially if it's going to be on pay per view. It's kind of like or on streaming service. Why go somewhere when it's here? It's like everyone asks me, "Are you going to go see the Batman? You're going to go see the Batman?" It's going to be on stream
Yeah.
in 10 days.
Not
It's
even
like
always. Some of them you can get them. Excuse me. You can get them when they come out. You can if you pay for it. You can get the
yeah,
streaming service as soon as it comes out. They started doing that ever since the pandemic started, and
yeah,
it's
and that's something
yeah.
that's changed greatly. There's actually a lot of lawsuits going on in Hollywood because of how the contracts were written. Of they the streaming was not included in the contract, nor was
Oh.
it included that they're supposed to get gross points on the box office sales and the DVD sales, and the pay per view sales and the renting on Amazon Prime sales. They're supposed to get points for that, but it wasn't included. That okay, yeah, but we're going to release this thing. We're going to put it in the theater, but we're going to release it on streaming right away too. So there's some lawsuits going on right now over that, and it rightfully should because, and people sit there and say all they want. Well, these actors are all overpaid anyway, and they're all rich. Yeah, well, there was once upon a time they weren't getting nothing. They
Yeah.
weren't they weren't getting they weren't getting nothing. It was because of doing the things that they were doing that it led to. I mean, if a movie makes $500 million, if it gross, just say it grosses $500 million, which is kind of a ridiculous number, but and you're only giving that actor 3 million or 10 million, that's no, they should get more. They should get more because it should be
Royalties.
divided amongst its royalties, but it should be divided properly, you know, because that's how you create a competitive market. So that's just business. It's not about being an overpaid
Um,
rich schmuck. It's
Neon
about business.
Neon Koala said went to a live event a year ago. Some of the wrestlers at the bar after, and they just seemed worn down and sad. You and I have actually kind of talked about that a little bit once before, so we want to make sure to catch on that note later too. But
Oh yeah,
praising the wrestlers, yes, and I would like to at this point go through some of the ones we've lost. I mean, you have a better full list, I'm sure, in your head than even I do, and I know of a lot of ones we've lost over the past few decades. Actually, even some that actually it's turning out that maybe might have been, put in bad limelight when they were lost, and maybe not, according to more recent things that have come out. So I don't know.
yeah. There's quite a few. I mean, I've been to a few. I've been to a few funerals. And anytime you get that call, or anytime you get, and what sucks with social media now. See, it used to be, I would get a phone call, or a text, or there'd be something. You would hear about it privately
Yep.
from someone. Now, if I could go on to Instagram, and I'll see RIP before anyone said anything to me, or I heard about it privately. And so that sucks sometimes, where you just go on to social media, and all of a sudden you're seeing, like as recently, the death of Scott Hall. You know, I mean, there was some prep time because he was on life support for a while, but
Yep.
it still sucked.
Yeah, but
And
even that was they knew what was going to happen toward the end. Before he was even gone, we knew he was gone, and that's sad.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, there's quite a list, and When I go back to think just as people within my own life, in my not my own life, but my lifetime, plenty of people in my lifetime. But what I mean is people that I personally knew, had worked with, had been on the road with. That really hurts. The first one I can think of is Louis Spicoli. Louis was finally starting to make it in the industry. He's with WCW, and he'd been with WWF, and he'd wrestled in Mexico, and he'd wrestled in Japan, he'd wrestled all over the place. And then the way I found out about him was I was working my day job, and TV was on, and I put Nitro on, and I saw a tribute to Louis and I had to run out to a payphone because cell phones weren't a thing really then, and start calling some people. And sure enough, when I got home, my answer machine was like there were all kinds of shit on my answer machine. You know, uh, Cincinnati Red. It's a name I'm sure nobody really, not a lot of people know.
I've heard that name
Uh,
before.
well, he was one of my early opponents. When I was first learning, I had some really great matches with him, and he, he just one day get a call, oh, his heart gave out. Another guy that I helped, that I was there when he was coming up, and he came up behind me, but we were still friends. We were still part of a company that was that led to Pro Wrestling Guerrilla (PWG). This company was called Revolution Pro, and that company led to PWG. And PWG is like a lot of wrestling fans will know that indie company because it's a lot of guys that are on the main rosters now, all at one point or another wrestled at PWG. Unfortunately for me, when PWG got started, is when my issues, the cancer and all that, it started. So I never really got the opportunity to go work there. But and there was a couple other reasons that I'm not going to go into, but which hopefully could have been overcame. But like I said, I was battling cancer. Um, Rising Sun was another guy. His name was Jimmy. Great kid. Uh, really had a love for wrestling, and it was just another one. Got a call one day. Jimmy's gone. What do you mean Jimmy's gone? Jimmy's gone. You know, and then you just go down the list. Just this is century. We're only 22 years into the century. It's the 20s. And you know, Ray Traylor, the Big Boss Man,
Yep.
Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig. Um, Now my mind's just like jumbling now with all these different names going through my head. I mean, we've had a lot of older wrestlers that have passed, you know, and maybe they did die soon, like Vader, for example. Uh, Somebody might want to tell Nikki Bella,
I know
but
we already were making that joke just before the stream. The worst thing you can do is I can't wait to hear him talk at his induction.
no,
Well, I don't want. I'm sorry, I don't want to see that because that'd be creepy.
yeah, would be. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh my god, when I saw that, I
I
was
couldn't
just
believe it was real. I thought it was someone
I
just
thought it was
picking
a
on him.
rib. I thought somebody
I did
was
too.
goofing off about something, and then
Nope.
I saw her actually say it, and I went, "It's a good thing that this is why I know that I've often joked, like, people have asked me, well, why wouldn't you try to get a comment, because I did commentating for several years after I stopped wrestling, and I was pretty good at it, and everyone was like, well, why wouldn't you try to audition and try to get a commentator job with WWE or AEW? I go, I get fired in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I get
'cause
because I could not keep my mouth shut. I just couldn't. I just could not keep my mouth shut. And if I would definitely have said something, I did. How could you not? How could you not? I mean,
I couldn't
I
believe
often
that.
like,
I could not believe that actually went out into the social media. No, you don't. No, don't say that. That's so wrong. Uh,
and I got a feeling that's why, because Vader's Hall of Fame induction was a little strange. They didn't have anybody induct him. They just brought his family out, and I just maybe they were just trying to make sure that whoever they asked to induct him didn't say, they're like, well, if we have somebody try to induct him, they may say something about what Nikki Bella did, and she was sitting right up front with all the other with everybody, you know. So oh my, because I know I would have, I know I sure as hell would have.
Yeah, I'm
I'd have
wondering
been
because
like,
maybe they didn't have anyone come out because maybe they don't want her to know. Maybe she doesn't know as of yet.
yeah, they could have.
Oh
If I mean, Vince really wanted to spend the money, he could have put had one of those holograms that they use, you know, at like concerts where they have
yeah,
like
yep.
for Tupac and Freddie Mercury and things like that, and have him and like, yeah, see, there you go, Nikki, there he is, you know.
Yeah, Vader was on one of those ones. He was actually he had a weird gimmick. Yes, kind of cool but weird. But he could wrestle. He could
Oh
seriously
yeah, he's
wrestle.
one of the best big men in the industry.
Yep.
You know him. I think Bam Bam's
I
another
was gonna
guy.
say Bam
Bam Bam's
Bam.
another guy,
That's what I was
and they were a
thinking. Bam
team.
Bam.
They teamed up at one point in
Yep.
Japan. So I yeah, I just, oh my god, I could just picture myself going, yes, our next inductee, he he's not, he unfortunately he's not here. Unfortunately, we lost him some time ago, and somebody want to let Nikki Bella know, and then just keep it just would have been
Yeah.
hilarious, and you know, then I'd have got in trouble, but or at least the surface I would look like I got in trouble, whereas behind the scenes I would have been going, what a dumb bitch, you know.
I mean, it's not just the wrestlers either. I mean, Gene.
Yeah, we've lost announcers. I mean, when
Yeah,
it comes
Mean
to
Gene
Mean
was
Gene,
like
guys like Mean
he
Gene,
he
and
was like the announcer forever.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's why I said we've lost older wrestlers and older announcers, and when we lose those guys, you know, like speaking of Cody Rhodes, you know, Dusty,
Yep.
um, yeah, there's not, you're not going to have a long shelf life when you're a pro, when you've dedicated your life to pro wrestling. You're not going to live, you know, very few of us are going to live into our late 80s, you know, 90s, and you wouldn't want to anyway. You'd be such a, you know, you, all you'd want to do is lay in bed all day and have somebody come change your diaper, you know. Because it just, I've seen some things that are just not pretty. It's not pretty at all. But my thing is some of the younger guys that were, you know, younger, or now they're like relatively still young for their age, and they're in their, you know, their 50s, even early 60s, you know, guy, you know, and that's, you know, Scott Hall.
Yep.
He's gone way too soon, and he still had so much more to contribute. You know, I can only imagine how, and I've seen some interviews with him, but how Jake Roberts must feel, because, and for how many times got people have died in this industry, and he was trying to kill himself, trying so hard, and he finally got his act together. He finally, thanks to DDP, and Scott Hall was a part of that, and Scott wasn't able to. But let's make sure we're clear on this. Scott didn't die from an overdose.
No.
Scott didn't die because he was in an auto accident from drinking or anything. He fell. He broke his hip. The sad part was nobody, DDP didn't find him for like 2 or 3 days. You know, so he was laying there on his kitchen floor, and more than likely, had to go to the bathroom, and he's probably thirsty as hell and hungry and just in absolute misery. But yeah, DDP went to his house and found him, and they got him to the hospital, and he died of a blood clot got loose and caused him to have 3 heart attacks. They put him on life support. They took him off life support. He hung on for 5 hours, and then he passed. I remember when I saw that, I was like, "Oh my God!" He took him off life support, but he's still alive. I'm like, "Come on, kick out at 2, Scott. Kick out at 2." And he didn't. He didn't. And that's and me just as a fan, not even as a wrestler, felt awful. Can you imagine how Kevin Nash,
They were like
you know,
that.
triple, Kevin Nash especially, but especially all the guys, the Click guys, Sean and Hunter and X Pac, and there were some unofficial Click members too. That were good friends with Scott, like Justin Credible. uh, were never official clique, but they were there. You know, they were like the what do bikers prospects? You
Yeah.
know, they're like prospects in the clique before until it got pulled apart, and they Scott and Kev went to WCW, and but still remained all really good friends. And there are a couple people that I'm glad I haven't heard from. Like Shane Douglas, because he and Scott Hall didn't get along. So I'm glad that he stayed silent.
Yeah,
Because
they not getting
right before Scott died, he was doing some shoot interviews and saying some things about Scott. And I'm not saying he doesn't have the right. I know I've known Shane. I've worked shows with him. He was always very good to me, very very nice, good conversation. We agreed about a lot of things. And regardless of whatever their situation is, I'm happy that he stayed silent, because the people out there that want to stir the shit pot would love to go to him and say, "Well, Scott Hall died. What do you think?" And so I'm glad that he's been staying silent, and not that it has to change with whatever happened between the two of them, or how he felt about him, but I'm glad that none of that's been going on, because that would really suck, and it would
it
put
would.
people in a bad light when we need to be
But
remembering Scott for the good things and not all this horse shit that happened behind the scenes.
even him not liking him, he might realize, he still died way too young. Regardless,
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
Oh,
it's
no
gonna
question, Shane.
it might even make him think about himself and his own, you know.
Yeah, no, no, no. Shane Douglas is one of truth be told, Shane Douglas is one of the smartest people as far as intelligence and IQ. I mean, Shane Douglas is a very intelligent man. So I'm glad that hasn't happened. And I'm sure he would say, yeah, Scott died way too young. I'm sure he would say that. I don't. I highly doubt he's one of these bitter guys. They'll be like, yeah, I'm glad he's dead. I haven't seen a lot of that. And one thing that kind of brings the boys and the girls together is when somebody passes. And I mean, even look at Chris Benoit. Look at
Yep.
everything that happened with that. There are guys, Malenko, Chris Jericho, and a few others that will still sit there and say, "I know what happened. It was fucked. What happened? We can sit there and argue about concussions and brain scans and alcohol and drug abuse all we want. What happened was terrible. It was awful, but I didn't know the guy that did that. I knew the guy, and I knew Chris Benoit briefly when I first started. Great guy at the time. When I heard this, I was flabbergasted. I was completely flabbergasted, because it just didn't make any sense. And that's why you knew something had to, like, some temporary insanity or something bad, something had to have happened, you know. And it wasn't a conspiracy. There's a lot of people that have these conspiracy theories out there that, that is actually some other people that killed Nancy and their son, and they framed it on and killed Chris, and they framed it on him and all that. None of that happened. Chris Benoit did what Chris Benoit did. We're never going to know the true reasons what was behind that, because everybody that was there is dead.
You are seeing
But
these conspiracy theories, they'll start to gain some ground recently. It's almost like they want to kind of do away with the negative and hide it so they can finally put them in. I
yeah,
kind of
but
wondering if that's why.
but no, Chris Benoit will never be in the Hall of Fame, and no, nor should he be. Okay, we cannot ignore what happened.
Nope.
We can't just say, well, it was because he went temporarily insane because he had the brain of a 80-year-old man on with Alzheimer's. Yeah, yeah, he did, but that doesn't excuse it. It
No.
just doesn't. And but it doesn't have to change. And this is what Jericho has said 100 times. It's not going to change how you felt about your friendship and you felt about the man you knew. And I've always really admired Jericho for that. That he's always stuck to his guns about that. Because you've had some people that have just said, "Yeah, I thought I knew the guy. It turns out he was a friggin' killer." He killed his child with his with what looks to have been his finishing wrestling hold. He smothered the guy with the crippler crossface. I mean, just you don't see you've seen some of that, but for the most part, and Jericho in particular, they've still stuck to their guns about their friendship. with Chris Benoit. It was a tragic situation. It was really just
You can
fucked
tell the
is
ones
all
too,
you can
because
say.
anytime anything has ever come up in an interview situation, those are the guys that refuse to go down that road because they get
Yeah.
roped into it. Yep.
I'm glad that at least WWE, as far as the network, they've erased Benoit as far as searching his name and any events, all the events that he wrestled on. They'll say, like for example, WrestleMania 20 when Benoit won the world title from Triple H and Shawn Michaels in a triple threat match. That match is still there. They didn't erase all the matches. They didn't get rid of all the history because that wouldn't be fair to the other guys. But you see the way they promote it. It says Triple H defends his title in a triple threat match. That's all it says. It doesn't list Benoit's name, and that's fine. But that was one thing that I am happy about is that they didn't screw everyone else who wrestled with him and erased all those matches from history because history is history, and it's not like, for example, we still talk about Hitler, we still talk about the what happened, we still talk about the Holocaust, we still talk about the atrocities, still talk about the crimes. Um, we don't just erase it, and pretend it didn't exist. And I'm starting to worry about that with the future of with this whole woke generation that they're going to try to erase things from history and rewrite history and try to pretend that these things didn't
The
exist.
cancel culture. Yeah.
Yeah, the cancel culture, and because we don't need that, we have to learn from history, otherwise we're doomed to repeat it.
Yep.
I'm certainly not the first person to say that phrase. So you don't erase it, and well, that's another show about people having a spine and having a sense of humor. But oh, and let me ask you a question, Tim.
Yep.
I think the Chris Rock Will Smith thing was a work. I don't buy into that for 1 second. That
I
slap looked like something in Hollywood.
It did, but it could have been him just trying to hold back. I don't know what
Maybe.
was behind it, but I kind of wonder because that 10 years being banned is pretty
Ooh.
big. Yeah, but seriously, that's a lot.
He
With
doesn't
someone
get to
that's
go. He doesn't have to go to the Academy Awards for 10 years. Ooh, and I guarantee you they'll shave that off down the road if he does a movie that is. Believe me,
no,
this is just damage control. The only I don't think that, and I think
it,
Will
it
Smith knew that that there was going to be backlash on him for this. But ultimately, they asked why didn't he get removed from the event? Because Chris Rock said don't do it. Why didn't the police get involved? Because Chris Rock said don't do it. Chris
he has
Rock
to press
had
charges. He has to press charges
yeah.
for that to happen. Yeah.
And what has happened since then? Chris Rock's ticket sales have surged. No one was talking about the Academy Awards. Their ratings have been continuing to decline and decline and decline. I guarantee you, next year they're going to have pretty good. They're going to have a good rating because people will start to watch it and think, "Oh, is somebody going to punch somebody? Is something going to happen?" You know. Um, I've seen Will Smith trending so much that more people are watching Will Smith movies. I'm sure King Richard's getting a big look see now. More people are ordering HBO Max to watch King Richard. I've seen more promotions and stuff like that. So there was a lot of success behind it being a work. One major thing I don't think they counted on was the backlash at Jada. I don't think they were gonna because that really exposed, what I'm not gonna say anything bad, but what kind of person she is.
But here's the thing: if there is something, if it was real, we're focusing on the wrong things, in my opinion. Obviously, that would mean that he's got a lot going on, and someone needs to reach out to him and support him. That's what we need to
Yeah,
do: support him, not sit there and just bash him for it. And there are those that are like, "Oh yeah, he did the right thing." Then there's the others that are bashing him for it. It's like, why bash someone if they're obviously, if that's true and it really happened? In order to do that on a live event like that, knowing it's being televised, you obviously have something going on that really needs to seriously be addressed, and it has some support on it. So that's
yeah,
where I lay on it. If there's a truth to it, support him instead of like just bashing him for it, even
yeah.
if you don't
No,
like what he
absolutely,
did.
absolutely, absolutely. I like I said, I didn't really care as far as I never had the opinion of take his Academy Award away. We're going to let Harvey Weinstein keep his, but we're going to take Will Smith's away.
Good point. Good point.
Come
Yes.
on now. And believe me, if it's a work like I think it's a work, I'm sure they considered that. But there's another thing, and this is where it gets a little conspiracy theory, but I just like to think this. The backlash at Jada, maybe that was Will Smith's plan all along because of what she did. So I mean, who knows? I think the whole thing's very entertaining, but at the same time, there's other things going on right now that like that's where the conspiracy theory is. Like, they did that to stop the focus on Ukraine, the war in Ukraine.
That even if it's not staged, it is very convenient that it is. It's a slap heard around the world, but we're not facing the fact we're on the verge of a recession. We're the closest we've been in our lifetime. We have the Ukraine thing going on. We have a pandemic still around that's keeping everybody from gathering. You have like that, the whole nervousness of going back out and starting to reintegrate into normal life. Mm-hmm. You have all these things going on, and all of a sudden everybody's worried about a slap. Convenient, you want to see very convenient.
Slap. You want to see a slap where somebody got slapped. Google or go on YouTube and look up John Stossel and David Schwartz. He knocked the crap. He slapped him open hand. Boom. He dropped him. I mean, that was a slap. And it bothers me because that was termed the slap permit around the world. Now this Will Smith, Chris Rock thing with this slap.
We're talking about slaps, and all I can think of is this last What in a Horror podcast that's coming out. That I think it got released this morning. I had Carrie, the original's 1976 Carrie. Mm-hmm. There's some serious slapping going on there, and they weren't pulling punches. I'm talking, there were some good slaps on there. Like there's red marks afterwards in there. The teacher slaps the kid, gets away with it, no big deal. Back in the 70s, you got the one boyfriend slaps the girl, and she's just like keeps on coming at him like she likes him and getting turned on by it. I know it's really weird, but it's just just thinking about slapping. It's like, wow, that would never, ever, ever be released here in this day and age. Nope.
No, not at all. But but then again, there's some things that you see, like I'm on I'm on social media, as we all are, and I recently saw something on TikTok where somebody recorded a student throwing a wadded up piece of paper and hitting a teacher in the back of the head with it. Teacher turned around and said, "Whoever threw that paper, your mama's a hoe." And I was like, "Whoa!" You hear the kids go, "You can't say that." And he's like, "I just did." Because I mean,
he probably lost his job.
He probably, but he had I'm glad he said it. I'm glad.
I know.
I wish more teachers would be like in that movie, The Substitute.
Yes.
I wish more teachers would be like that. There was an episode I think it was an episode of might have been Walker, Texas Ranger, or it was just a Chuck Norris movie where he was substituting in a class. I'm pretty sure it was Walker. I could be wrong, but
he had me as a substitute,
or he's a substitute teacher. Yeah. And a kid threatened him, and the kid went to swing on him, and he grabbed him and twisted his wrist. And they're like, "You can't do that." He's like, "I just did." So I wish there would be more of that going on. Do you have to stomp the kid in the face? No. But the fact that they had this whole teachers can't defend themselves or do anything, it's just bullshit. It should be they should be allowed to do a little. Because I know back in my day, when I was in school, if I was acting like that towards a teacher, and the teacher did what you saw Chuck Norris do, or what you saw in the Substitute, my father would have been like, "Good, you deserved it."
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we've been getting a little off topic with stuff because that's what we do.
Well, yeah, but I'm going to ask you a couple of serious questions here.
All right.
We see the glamour. We see the positive point. You see in the ring, you want to see all the fame and everything. What is it we don't see behind the scenes as far as like the anxiety levels, the depressions, and the addictions? I mean, what kind of the life that these guys lived in, the ones that really took their time to clean up, and some of them we've lost even after. What want to give us a little input on some of that, if you don't
You
mind?
you're not seeing the travel.
Yeah.
What the travel's good now. It's gotten a lot lighter, and rightfully so, over the years. Especially now the pandemic kind of forced that to where they're not really doing house shows anymore. They're just doing TV tapings. But there was a time, and Scott Hall was a part of this. Big Boss Man was a part of this. Kurt Hennig was a part of this. Some of the names I've mentioned. Um, Let me give you just an example of how your day would go with traveling. Uh, you start on say Thursday, Thursday or Friday. You go Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes Sunday's a pay per view. Then Monday TV taping, Tuesday TV taping. Then if you don't have any media appearances, and that's not in one location either. That's in 5 different locations, right? Then if you don't have any media, you go home, you're home for a day. Then the next day you're preparing to go for your next round. Now if you're going overseas, that's where you're going nonstop. You might have a day off in between. You might go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, have Friday off, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and you'll do a 21-day loop where you wrestled 19 times every night, taking bumps. Um, you have to get up at a certain time. You have to eat at a certain time. Find time to train. There's no real downtime. So you're gonna, and you're gonna need to, when you're doing a schedule like that, we're human beings, and a lot of people forget that we're human beings. We're not. There's no superheroes. No, not really. There's no superhuman feats of strength. There's guys that are amazing. They have amazingly gifted talent, and they're able to go out there and perform on a level, that's second to none. Shawn Michaels. There you
Yep.
go. Just to name one, and there's plenty of others. But you're the travel, being on the road all the time, the schedule, being away from your family. What's going on at home? What's your wife doing? Don't know. What are the kids doing? Don't know. On the road. And now we have amazing technology to where we have FaceTime and
Yeah.
the internet where we could. But back in the day,
Phone call
payphone,
at most.
payphone. Then we got those big brick. Not a lot of people had them.
And the cost of a
Wrestlers.
payphone if you're going
Yeah,
international,
yeah.
outrageous.
Remember when they had long distance companies, you know, and now, I mean, thankfully with smartphones and cell phone technology, we can communicate all over the world. I mean, I'm in California, you're in
On the East Coast in
on the
Vermont,
East
yeah.
Coast. Yeah.
Yep.
Um, we there's times that we're all in Discord together, and it's 4:30 p.m. on my time, but it's 8:30 p.m. on the East Coast. It's 4 o'clock in the morning the next day in Australia. It's 10 p.m. at night in England.
And we're talking
It's
all the
and
same
we're
time.
all talking at the same time. So we have amazing communication abilities now. Back in the day, you didn't. Back in the day, if you were lucky enough to have a cell phone. But the thing too with wrestlers that separates them from any other sport or form of entertainment is it's year round. There's no off season. We pay all our own expenses too on the road. Our hotels, our rent a cars. The only thing that wrestlers usually don't have to pay for is their flights. Although this depends on the nature of their contracts and what their deal is. But you got to pay all your own road expenses. I mean, I heard like crazy stories of like Mick Foley and Owen Hart. The way they would save money is they would literally get together with these super fans that would follow the promotion like they were the Grateful Dead, following the promotion around the company.
And
They
they
would go,
feed them.
They
Yep.
feed them. They let them sleep at their houses or go on the road. They buy them stuff. Like, yeah, I heard those crazy stories of like I couldn't be that way. If I had to go on the road, like I had road trips, but they were 1 day road trips or one weekend road trips. You know, I was, I never had that craziness. But even when I did go on the road in the limited capacity that I did, I was paying my own gas. I was paying my own food. If I had to stay at a hotel or motel, I did. Or, but most of the time, I would just be like, you know what, I'm just gonna get in my car and drive back. 6 hour drive, no big deal. 5 hour drive, 4 hour drive, no big deal. Um, but I never had to deal with the airports or, and you got fans coming up to you and asking for you. It's 5 o'clock in the morning and you get these fans coming up to you wanting you to sign this program so you can, and take photos with you. And then they try and sell them on eBay. You know, it's just a constant grind. It's a constant grind. And you have no downtime. So yeah, you're going to you're going to take some pills. You're going to drink a little. I always thought, one of the things like I hear some of the stories that Kevin Nash would tell is when he was on top and when they WWE had a really, they do now too, but this is when they started having a really hardcore drug policy because McMahon was getting indicted for the steroid trials, and he'd already had the sex scandals with some ring announcers and ring boys and all that stuff that was going on. So he put this drug policy in play, and of course marijuana was part of it. But it was legal to drink and you could take pills if they were prescribed by your doctor. So drink all you want, take all the pills you want, but don't smoke pot. you know I have heard, and that has been the policy, and that their new, their wellness policy. I did hear recently that they removed that. They finally took marijuana off the
Considering
thing.
it's legal in areas, that makes
Well,
sense.
that was one of the things too. Is that so many people said, "Well, I do this on my days off in my home state where it's perfectly legal." And you could, and I do think it wasn't just recently. The federal government decriminalized it.
Did it
I
actually
think that
pass?
I think it did pass.
I
Yeah.
thought I know it passed Congress, but has it been
I don't know.
signed?
I don't. I like. I've kind of tuned out from so many political things.
I've
You
had to
know,
too as well, but I did
because
see
I just
something about it being passed in Congress. Yeah.
because it really makes me laugh. Like, let's look at the gas prices, for example. Everyone wants to blame Biden. Biden
Oh
is
wait,
one person,
wait a
one
minute.
person in our
Slap. There
government.
we go. We can't talk about that anymore. There's something over here to look at.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
sorry.
People are taking stickers of President Biden and putting them on the gas with him pointing at it saying, I did that. President Biden is one person in a three-ring democracy that has checks and balances. He does not call people and say, but people think this. It's his. I want you to raise the gas prices to this because we want all electric cars, so we're going to starve people out on their gas, and that is not going on. But people think it is, and I just have to tune out because I get tired of arguing with people.
It
The
also
econ-
takes time for legislation to move, and not all that gas price has anything to do with taxes. Most of that is the companies being
yeah,
able to be getting lifted to allow them to raise their prices.
and it's
You know,
also a
prices.
game that goes on. You
Yeah.
look at history. Anytime a Democratic president has been elected, the gas prices go up because it is a game these corporate assholes play.
Yeah, that's true.
Because what are they doing? Because they're trying to make sure the midterms go in their favor. That's one of the things. Because people are very simple minded. Gas prices are high. It's the president's fault. He's not a dictator. There are plenty of things like I am not a fan of Donald Trump, but there were plenty of things that he got blamed for that I laughed at. I was like, Trump, he didn't do that. You know, there are other things that I didn't like for the things he said and the things that his behavior and his attitude.
The childish
Um,
behavior, yes.
yeah, very childish. And people say, yeah, I've had people say, well, you act like that sometimes. You say things like that. I go,
I'm
I'm
not the
not
president.
representing.
I'm not
I'm not
representing.
representing the whole country or the whole world. All right.
Yeah.
I'm just some schmuck in the suburbs in San Bernardino that's just trying to get by. Uh, It's so ridiculous. You know, especially when like I remember when after the during Obama's second term and during Trump's term, they they went to Howard Stern sent people to ask me, do you what do you prefer, Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act? Everybody, I hate Obamacare. I don't want Obamacare. Well, what about the Affordable Care Act? Oh, I love the Affordable Care Act. Give me health insurance. That's how dumb
That's
people are. You know, that's how dumb people are. So I eventually had to tune out of it. You know, look at the people think as soon as the president become like when as soon as Biden became president, he just like signed up, signed a bunch of executive orders and it changed the economy. Okay, you have to send things to yeah, he signed some executive orders. Every president does, but he also has to any of the bills that he's putting through, they have to go through Congress. So that first year he's in office, everything is going through Congress, and then 9 out of 10 times, this is with every president. 9 out of 10 times, uh, then it goes to court. It gets challenged. It goes to court. So it's not really until the president's third year in office that his economy and the things that he wants are taking effect.
at all. Sometimes longer.
Well, sometimes longer. And it was the
We
same way. I
saw
remember
that. We
when,
saw that with Reagan. Reagan actually had a decent economy going. Bush took over, rode off it for the first term, managed to get a
yeah,
good run there, but it was
same
actually he was
same thing
terrible
with
at times.
Clinton when W took office. We had a balanced budget, a
Mm-hmm.
surplus. We had all these things, and then they decided to go to war. But that's a whole
Yeah,
other conversation. But no, like when Trump first became president, the first year, the economy's doing great, man. Yeah, it's still Obama's economy. Okay, what happened by his third year? What happened by when the pandemic and all that and Corona and all that shit hit? You know, everybody just needs to. I tell everybody, look, you can run your mouth all you want. Everybody's an amazing keyboard warrior on the internet. Um, you can make a difference in it really in two things in this country and in the world: who you vote for, what you buy, where you buy your products, where you buy your things. You know, if you don't like Walmart, don't shop at Walmart. If you don't like, if you don't like,
but you notice when you try to boycott a store like as big as Walmart, and you start paying more prices, then you realize like gas prices go up. All of a sudden, you're shopping at Walmart again because you have to make ends meet somehow, right?
no, I know it's a game, dude.
Yeah.
It's just it's a vicious circle, and I just tell everybody, look, you can do that, but at the end of the day, just try to be a good person
Thank you, Eddie.
and stop pointing your finger at everybody. You want to make a difference, start with yourself. So I've really tuned out of politics. I don't, and what I mean by that is I still pay attention, but I read. I read on, and I don't watch any of the news shows, unless it's something I want to watch for entertaining reasons. Like there's a wrestler named Tyrus that's on Fox News, and he posts stuff on his Instagram page. I like watching his sometimes. I don't agree with him all the time, but I just think it's funny that you got this wrestler that's really acting like a big mark. He's got the NWA television title on his shoulder while he's doing a news show. So I just think that's really funny. But he's a good dude. And he wrestled in WWE as Brodus Clay. He came out and danced and somebody call my mama, somebody call my mama. Yeah, it was really funny. But I think that's so like occasionally I might see a clip of something, but as far as watching any of the media shows or news or anything, I've tuned out all that. I just read to keep up, and I want to watch speeches. Like I want to watch the State of the Union or things like that. But as far as all this country has become one giant pro wrestling show held in the world's largest shopping mall. Everything's a gimmick and everything's for sale. So I I just rather be here with my
You
family
have
and
also seen you've seen WWE during the struggle during everything when they first started switching everything over. They have literally been just well, like anything else, throwing darts at a wall trying to figure out what can we do. because they're not coming up with like great plans all the time. They're trying everything to try and keep it going. Now it's starting to open up again a little bit, and you're seeing them go back to a little bit more normalcy. Finally,
Well, now they have live events now. I mean,
right?
it was really what was really terrible is it almost killed AEW. AEW had just gotten started,
Yeah,
you know, and but they were able to manage, and that tells you what kind of businessman Tony Khan is, because he was able to keep those things going, and they've since expanded, and they're back doing live events, and back to the schedule. Now the schedule's so much different. They still haven't started doing house shows yet. I'm sure WWE will eventually, but pretty much, with the exception of a rare house show here and there, WWE's schedule, for wrestlers is, yeah, if you have a pay per view on Sunday, you have a pay per view on Sunday. But then whoever works Raw works Raw. Whoever works SmackDown, on Fridays, because everything's live now. They don't do a lot of tapings anymore. Um, works SmackDown, and that's it. You're on the road 2, maybe 3 days a week, and then you got 4 or 5 days at home with your family.
yep.
Same thing with AEW. If you work Wednesdays for Dynamite, and a lot of times they tape Rampage. It's the Friday show. They'll tape that after Dynamite, so you're literally going on. You're 1 day a week, you know, and then there's media appearances and stuff, but so it's so much different as opposed to being on the road 5 or 6 days a week, year round. And there are literally guys that the only way they could get time off is they got hurt. And when you're hurt, that's the other thing too, is when you're hurt, you feel this enormous pressure to keep going. Because if you have to stop, then you lose your spot. Or at least you think you lose your spot. And then, WWE has these
We
90
have seen it.
day.
We
Yeah.
have seen it happen. After injury, someone was like right at the top, about to get a title shot, and then all of a sudden they come back and they're just doing these stupid gimmicks. Or yeah, look at Dean
Yeah.
Ambrose when he came back. That whole like Bane thing he had to do after his injury.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But he was smart. He said he saw the, AEW was getting started, and, he's like,
A
I'm
lot
done
of
with
them
this.
did.
I'm out of here. Yeah. A lot of them did.
That was the one saving grace for AEW is pandemic started. WWE felt the pressure, let go of some of their talent, and that a lot of that talent they got to pick and choose at AEW and got a few of them, and that helped a
Yeah,
great
no,
deal.
but I will say this though, it was see WWE. A lot of their contracts have these every day. Like someone will say, "I signed a 5 year deal." No, you didn't. You signed a 90-day deal, because they can fire every 90 days. They can fire you and then pay you for 3 months, and then you're gone. A lot of these contracts, they can cut you for at any time for any reason after 90 days. And so don't tell me you signed a 5 year deal. You signed a 90-day deal. Now I know recently with guys like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, um, and I think with AJ Styles as well, although I heard his was an extension. Um, part of the terms of the new deal was that those 90-day clauses were removed. So if I get hurt, you have to pay me while I recover. If you want to fire me, then you have to fire me and pay me if you want me to sit out my contract.
When I first
You
saw
know,
Kevin Owens, I was thinking, I'm not so sure, but the more he's been in there and the more he's actually gotten even better, man, he reminds me a lot of Bam Bam. He really does in a lot of ways.
what's interesting too is one of the things that went on in Revolution Pro was I was a heavyweight amongst a lot of cruiserweights, and then they went on to PWG, and there was a lot of that was one of the things that when I was first talking to some guys about going to work there, but of course, like I said, it didn't last very long because then I went getting diagnosed with cancer, and um, was there like, well, there's not a lot of guys here that you can work with. It's all small guys. I'm like, well, I can work with them. They go, yeah, but it's just, it's it wasn't very believable, you know. And the next thing I know, I see Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen. I'm going, and he's doing all, I'm just, and then, when what's funny too is that I've told some friends recently, uh, when I first started in wrestling, my dream and my vision was what's happening to The Rock. What's happening to John Cena. You think big, you dream big,
The
and
Rock
now,
picked the better superhero.
yeah, and now I sit there and go, well, yeah, maybe that wouldn't have happened, but I could be Kevin Owens. That's not I could do that. But no, he's an amazing wrestler, and I mean, what a dream come true. There's a photo. DDP
The
put a photo
photo,
out
yep,
there, yeah,
yep,
of Kevin Steen as a child, as a teenager, or a younger kid, with Austin during the Attitude Era, and now they're facing off in the ring.
yep.
You know,
That was pretty awesome. I like that side by side there, and they actually posed the same way because they asked him to, and he
yeah,
did, and it was awesome.
and so I was really happy for him, and I don't know how happy I was for Sami Zayn and all that jackass stuff, but he seems to be he seems to be, but I mean, what else are you going to do? Are you going to sit there and bitch about it in the media? Or are you going to sit there and live it up and promote it and say, hey, yeah, just own it?
It keeps
I mean,
you
what
going.
else are you going to do? Yeah. What else are you going to
It's
do?
like the
What's
I got kids thing that what's his name was doing there. Same thing.
Heath Slater? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said that to Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar goes, I have kids too. And come here. And he puts his arms. I don't give a shit about your kids.
I actually like the way
I've loved what's happened
Lesnar
with
came
Brock
back this
lately.
time. Lesnar came back this time more like the way he wanted to be, and I like this new persona.
Let
It's
him be
more like it.
himself. Let him be
Exactly.
himself. I mean, no,
Yes.
we're not going to have him out there with a gun, although we did with Austin. So I don't know what the big deal is, but it's just a different generation. I mean, you got to think about this. Think about this for a second. How would this fly today? Steve Austin took Vince McMahon and put him in the middle of the ring and pulled a gun on him, and then asked the fans, if you want me to blow Vince's eyes through the back of his head, give me a hell yeah. They all said hell yeah. And then the Bang 316 came out. Try to do that today.
Yeah. Oh,
Imagine Lesnar.
remember the limo stuff like these all the stuff that the DX stuff, the
Well, I
tank. I
remember.
mean, all this stuff would not fly today like it did
Remember
then. I
this.
don't
This
think.
it was the Benoit thing that actually derailed this because it happened like the following week. But Vince got in his limo and it exploded.
Yep.
I swear to you, this happened. The next day, or like later, either the next day or the day after that, I got a call from my father, and he goes, "Did Vince really die?" Because it circulated that it was legit, that it was like Vince McMahon died in a fire, you know.
That was
And
when
I laughed
kayfabe was
so
a real
hard.
thing.
I laughed so hard. Yeah, and I thought for a second, but it's one of those I wouldn't have been able to do it because as soon as he said it to me, I started laughing. When I thought back, I go, I wonder if I should have just let him believe that. If I should,
That
yeah,
was
Dad,
fun.
it'd have been fun, But I've pulled some pranks on my father. I posted one time. I posted, because of the cancer, I can't have children. I'm really blessed to have the stepkids that I have. Uh, and blessed to have a really, I say I'm an atheist and I say blessed, but I'll use that terminology. Um, to have the family that I have, because it looked like I wasn't going to have a family. I was going to be able to have kids, wasn't going to be able to have this. And, but before they came into my life, I posted on an April Fool's joke. I posted a sonogram on my Facebook account and said, everything's going to change. I didn't think we could. I didn't know I could. This is going to change everything. Now, most of my siblings were texting me going, this is an April Fool's prank, right? But one of my siblings, my youngest sister, fell for it. And my dad called me and was like, just tell me it's an April Fool's prank. Don't fuck around. And I go, yeah, it's an April Fool's prank. But yeah, there were people that thought that, that's like, I did think about, before my father died, I was going to, on April Fool's, call him up and say, because the time was proper. I go, Dad, I never told you about this, but I need to tell you now that, I think I might have gotten a girl pregnant when I was 19, 20 years old. And now I got some 19-year-old kid coming to my door and sending me emails and shit saying that I might be his son. I thought about doing April Fool's pranks like that, but in hindsight, I'm glad I didn't, because it probably would have really pissed him off. But especially since I lost him during the pandemic.
That's a good question right there. Is something to lead into?
What's that? I can't see the
Pranks.
chat.
No, but no, it has nothing to do with chat. It's
Pranks?
just pranks behind the scenes. Like we heard some of it from. I love the. By the way, Stone Cold, the podcast, learned a lot of this crap. Realized a lot of this crap really happened. But you hear about all these things like the pranks behind the scenes. How well did that help? That help morale, right? When we're able to play
Oh
pranks
yeah,
again.
yeah.
Yeah.
But ribs are not anything new. But they used to be really cruel ribs that
Some of
went
them,
on,
yes.
and it led to some stuff. But over time, ribs became more playful. Like one of my favorite more of a shit stirring rib was Scott Hall, um, with the Dudley Boys. In 2002, when Hall, Nash, and Hogan came back as the NWO, they're shaking hands with some of the guys, and Bubba Ray Dudley shook hands with Scott Hall, and he's like, "Oh man, Scott Hall's like, I'm a big fan of yours. I love your finisher." And Bubba Ray's like, "Oh man, thanks." He goes, "Yeah, I can't wait to kick out of it." and Bubba's like, "Oh, he's cool. It's a rib. He's joking." You know, um, just playful things like that. Owen was the king of pranks. Owen Hart was the king of pranks. Owen pulled a prank on me when I was in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, training to wrestle with the Harts. I would see him at one of the Hart sisters married a guy named BJ who owned his own gym. Um, that was his name, not his profession. Not what he was good at.
Good to know.
I don't think his father named him that after his mother's best trick. I just think it's short for something. That's all. I can tell you this: that if I had my first and middle name started with a B and a J, I would not let anybody call me BJ. But
I would never announce my middle name. Simple.
yeah,
Simple.
I would change my middle name. But no, but anyway, so I worked out at that gym because he'd give you a discount because you're one of the boys, and Owen hid my bag. He took my gym bag and threw it on the top of the locker in the corner so I couldn't see it. And I was walking around that place for an hour trying to find my bag, kept asking everyone, "See my bag? I see my bag." And then I found it. I kept on, I go, "I found my bag. It was on top of the thing." And you see Owen get up. He was waiting for me and he gets up and he walks out and he's going, walking out as he's leaving the gym. And I never said anything to him because I was just like, I felt honored. I got ribbed by Owen Hart. Mr. Fuji would give you a shit deodorizer. He would shit in a cup and hide it in your hotel room somewhere.
Oh God, that's Duke. Learn that at the vape shop.
Yeah, it's like a upper decker.
Yeah. Someone like lifts the top of their toilet, takes a shit in the tub, puts it back on.
That's an upper decker.
Yeah. Or Duke, where you actually put it around someone's house. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Fuji would do things like that. Kurt Hennig was another master of ribs, and he did this thing. The AWA at the time would run a lot of high school gymnasiums, in their later years where they're going down because Vince was taking all their talent, and which was not Vince's fault. He wasn't raiding anybody. They didn't. Gagne and those guys didn't want to pay the boys. You don't want to pay the boys, and someone else is going to pay the boys. Guess where the boys are going to go?
Same thing that happened with AEW. Now they weren't scalping the people from WWE. WWE was lightening up the roster.
People away. Yeah,
he had to.
The only one that was really ever. There were two guys that were really ever in a bidding war, and they wound up debuting for AEW at the same time, and that was Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole.
Yep.
And in Adam Cole's case, WWE dropped the ball on that one because they let his contract run out and they weren't paying attention.
Yep.
But anyway, Kurt Hennig, they would go to these high school gyms, high school auditoriums, and the wrestlers would change in the locker rooms to where all the high school students. So there'd be locks on the lockers, and Kurt Hennig would walk around and pull on the lockers. And eventually he'd find one that would unlock. He'd just pull it off, and he would take like two of the wrestlers that did not like each other, legitimately did not like each other, and lock their bags together.
Oh,
You know, or and you know, or lock somebody's uh, uh, what do you call it? Get a couple of those locks and like lock the steering wheel to the gear shift or something, so you couldn't move it. You know, and it was really, or really harmless, because you could just get a bolt cutters and cut the locks. But it got to the point though where Vern Gagne had to have a meeting with the wrestlers and say, knock this off. They are going to kick us out of these places because we keep stealing their locks, so knock it off. And then he reached down to pick up his bag, and Kurt Hennig had locked his bag to the chair. And everyone just started laughing, and just Gagne was just like, "You son, dude."
it's like
Just
basically,
like,
basically, we're okay with you doing it. Just bring your own locks, damn it.
yeah, yeah. Hiding bags, telling guys they were to go get changed because they're going to have a promo, and then the guy would be like, okay, and then they come back and say, oh no, the promo's not going to be for another half hour or another couple hours, so you can go change and go back. So they get changed back out of their gear, put their normal clothes on, then they come out. Oh no, we were wrong. It is going to happen now. So go and you do that like 2 or 3 times just to get the guy to change clothes a number of times.
Have they,
Just a goof on him.
what did they do with that show? They had a little show where they were doing the pranks and stuff. Kofi got sprayed in the face with something in one of them. What was that show? The prank show they had on the WWE network.
I don't know.
That was actually,
But
I actually enjoyed that. That was just as much fun sometimes. But when Kofi got hit in the face with a bunch of stuff, that kind of actually messed up his eyes.
yeah, I mean, but I mean, like I said, considering how things used to be and the
Mild.
way they are now it's very mild. And the reality is, there's not a lot of ribbing that goes on anymore, except unless it's amongst like really good friends, people that are really tight. Because again, the woke generation, everything's offensive. Everybody cries about everything. Everybody, oh, why do you do that? I mean, it just doesn't go on anymore. And it's unfortunate in some cases, as far as the friendlier ribs, because it was a good way to laugh, and you're on the road, you're tired, you're pain, you're
A
just
distraction. A distraction.
yeah, it's a distraction. Let me go mess with this guy, you know. Um, yeah, pranks are great. I mean, just look at. I mean, we just us in our community, we talk shit. Like I was telling you earlier about not real Jar Butler. I won this, and somebody had put in. I think it was Ranger Rusty put in the chat. Uh, Congratulations to the winner. I don't know if it's come out yet, but
Yep.
I want to. So I don't want to spoil it. And Lee put on the bottom, yeah, fuck that guy. And I hit the like button. I put a thumbs up on it. It's just stuff like that. That's very. But I guarantee you, there is somebody out there
You see now
that
what
would
I
get
heard
butthurt
was
about it.
you got that because that was the franchise that decided to put a little money into that, make sure that happened was Lee's Milkshake Shack. That's what I heard. You know,
Well,
Lee's
that's news to
homemade
me. I don't know about that.
Lee's Milkshake Shack, where all the shakes are made by hand by men.
Mm.
Yes.
I see where you're
There's
going.
some of our Saturday night humor. That
Yeah.
became a thing. One joke, and just I only put Lee's name in there because the other names wouldn't fit, and I had to have a short name, so Lee's was short, and it became a thing.
Yeah.
It became a meme.
Yeah.
If you
Where you
remember,
get
put up the made a van before the end of the show. He had a van like JPEG van thing with Lee's Milkshake. Oh, Lee's Jizz Milkshake Shack on the side of
See,
it.
that's other ribs that would go on where you'd put like a sign on the back of somebody's rental car or something, and they as they're leaving, honk if you slept with my mother or something like that, or
Or write in the dirt if they had a dirty back window. You write
yeah,
something really
yeah,
offensive,
stuff like
or
that.
draw a
Yeah,
dick or something. Yeah,
yeah, just stuff like that is
or
what goes
something
on
like
now.
Will, with his dick mail. Steel Valley with his dick
Well, I
mail.
mean, I'm sure Will would have taken it to that level that we were talking about earlier.
Oh no, no question. And that's just it. That camaraderie and that fun behind the scenes sometimes can make a difference between. I mean, even if someone's picking on you, it's a way of reaching out to you too. Maybe you're having a bad day, you're getting kind of depressed. You're not really showing it because professionally you wouldn't want to. You're
No.
gonna hold it in there because you do want to act like a tough guy there. You don't want to act like a, and then somebody picks on you, and that might be enough to break you out of that funk if you're kind of going down. And I'm sure that there's been times when that if they're friends, they realize that, hey, you're having a bad day, I'm gonna fuck with you. So, and
Hell
that's
yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's
sometimes
the whole
reaching out's not always gotta be like a positive thing. It could be a little fun involved in it.
hell yes.
But be
You know?
careful because that can backfire if the other person's in a really bad state, and it has a tendency to maybe backlash.
You have to know when it's the right time and when it's not. And you know, nobody's perfect. Sometimes things happen. You know, I've had it happen where I've started goofing on somebody about something, and then I realized, oh, you know what? They're really there's not a good time. And I've then told them privately, look, dude, I'm sorry, I was just fucking around. I was like, yeah, no, I just wasn't in a good mood. And I'm like, no, it's cool. I was in the wrong, dude. I'm sorry. You know.
Yep.
And you never feel never be afraid to have fun, but also never feel too proud to apologize for making a mistake. But at the same time, when someone apologizes, accept their apology. Don't keep berating them.
Don't hold it against them.
Yeah,
there's a good chance, as long as it was meant in fun. It's like getting a Christmas gift. You might get some gift that you absolutely hate, but if it comes from someone who cares about you, it's a thought that counts. In most cases.
Yeah,
unless it's dick mail from Will, and then it's a different story. But
I love getting that package from
Will. Oh no, I'm talking about the pictures of dicks. I mean, you never know. Will might actually send you dicks. Like,
might send you an actual one. You know,
yeah, you never actually know.
Dig up a fresh body, cut it off the middle to you. You know?
Yeah, please, Will, do not do that to me, please.
He's taking notes.
Will's he knows my address. This is a bad thing.
Will, man. Will's a hell of a guy.
He is. He's a lot of fun, and that's just it. Having fun. That's something that.
And that's the thing, you know, going back to, you know, the deaths in wrestling and the addiction and the mindset that happens. You know, I've read a lot of things of people just saying, well, you know, they were just a drug addict. You know. Being an addict is an illness. It's not something to be taken lightly, you know. And you need to have first of all, have some human compassion. First of all, what does that say about you when you just act like that? Like, oh, the guy was a drug addict, so what? Yeah, or the guy was, you know, he was a bum, he was homeless, he was this, he was that. They chose to be that way. No, in some cases you don't. Yeah, I'm sure there are people.
There are some. There are some.
Absolutely.
That choose.
But there's other people that. When that disease gets a hold of you,
you can't let go,
and you can't let go. You're finding, I've talked about this previously on, on your show. You know, I had a crutch. When it came to pill taking and drinking and stuff. When I wanted to stop, I stopped. When I told myself, you're done, you're done. Then pain comes back to you. Stress comes back to you. It's like with smoking cigarettes.
Depression kicks in.
Start off with one. Start off with two. You're bumming them. Then you're buying Lucy's. Then you're buying a pack. You know, it just starts to just come and creeps back on you. Same thing with taking pills or any kind of drug. Start with one. Start with two. Starts once a week, twice a week.
This actually.
That's why this is
a lot. This helps people with other problems as well. Sometimes you have to have a crutch to replace a worse crutch, you know. And this is, although media be damned, is minor in comparison to the other dangers of other things.
And I think what's really bothered them is that there are so many of us that have turned this into a hobby and turned it into a positive, where we're having different types of mods and coils and addies and I think
DIY.
That's really, DIY, and I think that's one of the things that really annoys the shit out of the naysayers is we're not just buying a Juul and vaping the Juul or pod device or whatever until we have beaten the nicotine habit.
But that's just it.
Some have.
Sometimes, but what if, and this does happen, we know people, hire on people in this industry that use either coil building or vape as a crutch for worse addictions.
Yes.
We have heroin addicts. We have Um, Meth addicts. We have all kinds of addicts in this community that have used vape to replace that need for something. How is that not harm reduction in like 100% form? Do we need them if they quit, completely quit vaping? Chances are they're going to slip back into that again. So in
Yeah,
that case, you
yeah.
don't. I mean, if you have to have something, it's no different than these politicians that are going and buying their Starbucks every morning or whatever before they go to work. They don't want
How
to live
many times
without
have you
that.
heard? How many times have you heard people say, "I need my coffee. I can't function without my coffee."
Right now,
Well, yeah, yeah, and it's what,
it's been a long day. It's been a
nine
long day.
thirty at night. I mean, uh, yeah, it's been a long day, and you're up. You're going to go to bed soon. You're up drinking coffee.
Fortunately, I can, but some people can't, and that is
Yeah,
a
no,
issue. But
yeah, no.
um,
I'm the same way. Like I could drink a rock star, full sugar rock star. No diet this or anything, and fall asleep.
yeah,
So but there are other people that it's like, okay, have your morning cup of coffee and that's it. Have 2 cups of coffee, that's fine. But there's other people
excuse
that
me.
are just constantly, and I think that's probably a safer addiction than heroin.
And for those of us who've lost close loved ones, family or friends to cancer because of lung
Children.
cancer, yeah, children as well. But I'm talking about for like lung cancer
Oh yeah.
issues because of smoking. I've lost a lot of family to lung cancer because of smoking. To me, that's a big push for me to be an advocate is because of that reason. I can't not think of it. I think about the family that could still possibly be here, or at least wouldn't have had to suffer as much as they did the last few years of their life. Some of them months because some hit it as best they could. But even every morning, just the coughing fits every morning. Do you remember those? Every morning, you just
I
wake up
didn't
with a
have. I had not like a coughing fit, but I would wake
phlegm.
up and I'd get in the shower and I have like just be hawking up a bunch of phlegm every morning.
Yeah.
And it would be funny too because like then I would get bronchitis. Like I'd get bronchitis like once a year when I was smoking, and I wouldn't smoke while I had bronchitis. And next thing you know, I'm coughing up all this crap, spitting all this crap out, and then I'm clear. And then I still don't feel good for a few days, so I still don't smoke. But I'm not waking up those mornings and having those. But the next thing you know, then I go back to my life,
Yep.
start smoking again. You
Isn't it
know,
nice not have to even deal with that transition anymore? That's
but
something
I
that
mean, yeah,
we can celebrate.
I was a little different in I've told the story before where I quit smoking in 2010 after my I had hernia surgery. I quit smoking and I replaced it with hookah.
Yep.
So I would go to the hookah lounges. Then in 2016, when my marriage was falling apart and I was, on the brink of right before I tried to end my life, I was going to bars and so, hey, let's go out and smoke. And I'd be drinking, one goes with the other. So I'd
Soon.
start,
Yep.
yeah. So after I got out of the hospital and after I recovered from the incident, uh, I was like, I started feeling, wow. I was like, wow, man, I kind of want to have a cigarette. So I picked up the vape and I started with 3 milligram immediately.
Yep.
Some people have to start with 50 or 25 or whatever, and then they slowly bring themselves down. And there's people who still, they vape. They have it's different for everybody. They have a 3 milligram or a 6 milligram, all day vape, and then they go to a pod, at certain points of
Something
the
to carry
day
around with them when
to
they want something to kick.
yeah, something stronger. If the stress kicks in.
Yep.
I've tried. Like I cough at 6 milligram. At ECC, the last ECC that was out here, I was at. I can't remember whose table I was at. I think it might have been Imter. But I was trying a one of the liquids, and I just picked it up and I vaped it. And I'm like, oh my god! And I looked at it; it was 12 milligram.
Yeah,
You
that would
know,
do that to me too.
you know. So I've been kind of fortunate in that I have never needed anything above 3 milligram. But I can tell you this: I've tried zero Nick.
I've tried too. You just chain vape all day long and just never feel right. It
It
just
does.
doesn't
It's
work.
not. The flavor is different too.
It is. Yeah.
You know.
That's actually, if you watch me in the mixing shows, I was doing a lot of zeros for a long time. I went back to three because I realized 1.5 to three. Because she vapes 1.5 now. But I have to have a little nicotine in there to get the flavor profile right, because if you make it for a zero, it's really typically only good in a zero. It's
Hmm.
not quite the same. You have to adjust it a little bit, and sometimes you just can't get the flavor the same because nicotine does have a flavor of its own. Yeah.
Yeah, and getting back to addiction within wrestling, I had seen so many people die because they couldn't get a hold of their they But in other cases, and I'll mention the great Eddie Guerrero,
Yep.
he kicked his habits, he kicked his demons, but the damage was done,
Yeah.
and eventually the heart gave out anyway. So, and that's not saying, well, then screw it. Why bother giving up my vices? No, if you're having problems with, and believe me, there are champion drug takers out there. There are people that can go once a week, or twice a month or whatever, and they're going to do heroin, or they're going to do coke, or they're going to do acid or ecstasy or something, and they have a perfect handle on it. They never have any issues. They never have any problems. It's just a recreational thing on this occasion, but that's rare. It doesn't happen for, in most cases, that monkey's going to crawl on your back and it's not going to come off until you do something. But again, you could do something and
Sorry.
you get clean and you could change your whole life around just like Eddie did. Eddie had been fired from WWE. Eddie was working indies. He'd separated from Vicky. He was just in a complete limbo, and then he became a born again Christian. And for me, that's I've been down that road, and that's not something I promote. But the fact that it really did help change his life was good, and he got his job back with WWE, and he eventually became world champion. And then, unfortunately, like I said, the damage was done.
But again, he had those years where his life had been turned around. If he hadn't done it, it wouldn't happen. Shawn Michaels, another case who, because of pain, had issues, and he turned his life around as well.
He turned his
Yeah.
life big time, and I know it wasn't just religion that helped Sean; it
Yep.
was his wife.
Yep.
His wife really was a rock for him and really helped turn things around for him. You know, and I just what I want, and like I said, I'm an atheist, so I don't promote. I'm not going to tell you to go find your Lord and Savior if you're having problems. That's not where the direction I'm going to go. But if you take that direction and it helps turn your life around,
It's a positive thing.
it's a positive.
Yep.
Just don't try to make it the law. That's all I'm going to say. All right. Don't try to make it the law. All right. That's the problem.
Acceptance that
Yeah.
others don't believe the same as you, and
Yes.
it goes in
Yes.
all every direction. I
Every
know it's
direction.
harder for a Christian because some of the Christianity faiths are very strict, so they kind
Well,
of.
yeah.
But
I
on a
mean,
personal level, take that to heart. The fact that you can say something to someone and suggest it, but don't tear them apart for not feeling the same way you do, because that's just that's
no,
life.
it's not. And just because it worked for you doesn't mean it's going to work for them.
Yep.
All people are different. We have different mentalities, different physiology, different genetics, all kinds of different things. You may eat a piece of chocolate, it tastes great, and that's it. What worse will happen? You eat too much chocolate, you get fat. Other people can eat a piece of chocolate, tastes great, they drop dead.
Yep.
So just because it's good for you doesn't mean it's going to be good for them. But that doesn't mean they're beyond hope. Could find something else. Let's find something else.
They
Let's
might
look to
even
something
find
else.
later. They might later on choose to go that path too. But that's it.
Maybe,
Personal choice. Personal
maybe. I
choice.
mean, like I went through all kinds of craziness in my life. Especially after the cancer. When I got diagnosed with cancer, I was a born again Christian Republican. Now in my life now, I'm a I like to use the word progressive. I don't like to say liberal because liberals can be kind of
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
things a little too far. I like to say progressive, because I believe in progress and I believe in science and I believe in, okay, this works, this doesn't work. Let's progress to this direction. Doesn't matter if it's tradition. Doesn't matter if it just, let's just do this
Doesn't matter
that's
if it
better
is
for
or
everybody.
isn't. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so now I am a progressive atheist. So that is a huge turnaround to go through and things. And then I went from being a strict born again Christian Republican to being more of a Christian conservative, and then I became a how do you put it, more of a in the middle, center right, and then eventually I got center left, and then eventually I went from being a Christian to a spiritual,
It's kind of like when
and
when
then
I do this, it's more I care. It's not
yeah.
necessarily
Well, like I was
religious.
using the terminology blessed
Yeah.
earlier. I don't usually use
Yep.
that terminology,
But
but
it
when it comes to my
fits.
family, I do feel that it is such an
Yeah.
amazing thing that's happened to me.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know,
And the other thing is, if you are strong in a religion, you believe a certain way, well, then if you really believe in like damnation of a soul or something because they don't believe, well, then that's up to them whether or not they choose that path, right? So even in
yeah.
that sense, it's still free will.
But also,
So,
what happened to forgiveness?
yep,
What
that
happened
too.
to I mean, I may be an atheist, but I've read the stories of Jesus.
Yep.
I believe in a lot of what he had to say. Give away, he strongly preached against being rich and being greedy. Told you to pray in private, love your enemies. You know, seems like that's not what goes on these days with a lot of these so-called Christians. It seems like they're just like out to get people, and they're and it's just
Mm,
like look at the Will Smith Chris Rock thing. Let's for a second say I think it's a work, but let's say everyone let's go with the notion it's not. It was real. Why are we damning Will Smith to death because he
because he
used the
needs help.
tips?
Because he needs help right
No,
now.
no, no,
That's
no.
the
I mean,
truth.
we're damning him like we want him to go away. We want his academy taken away. Almost like we should put him in jail because he slapped Chris Rock with the tips of his fingers, and Chris didn't even sell it. Chris didn't even look like it hurt him. I saw these videos. Guys, man, Chris Rock got an iron jaw. For what? For I've slapped my leg harder when I've been in the ring throwing punches, all right? Or kicks or whatever. Why does it have to be that people always have to go away when they make a mistake?
Especially if this mistake is obviously because he's got some kind of emotional thing. If that's
Exactly. Shouldn't we
real,
be like trying to figure out what's going
hey,
on?
do you need a little help? Is something going on? Is there anything we can do? That's progressive. Whereas just
Yes,
damning him is not
absolutely.
progressive at all. That doesn't. How's that help anyone?
How does that
It
help
do,
anybody? Yeah. So we just have to. I mean, look at somebody post something on Twitter 10 years ago. They're just trying to be funny. It was a bad joke, but 10 years later, now we have to make them go away because they said this. You know, that makes them an awful evil person. And I'm like, what is
and
this
there's a good
nonsense?
chance it's taken out of context, or they were living a different life 10 years ago.
Yes. That's why you don't see him on Twitter hardly at all.
Exactly,
I
Dave.
stay the hell off Twitter because it's such a magnet of just anger and frustration. And yeah, there's some good things that can be done with it, but there's
You
so much
you
shit
say
talking
stay
that
off
goes on.
Twitter, and I'm like jonesing for it because my iPhone I still haven't. I just haven't had time. If anybody's noticed, I've been on a few shows lately and done a few of my own.
I saw one this
So
morning.
I haven't had time to fix it and put it together so that it goes to the right Twitter. So
What
I'm
iPhone do you have?
missing like my Twitter tweets, and I haven't been doing it as much because of that. I mean, I get the feed, but then I go to check on it, and it won't go to it because it goes to an L1 version of my thing, like another layer of my Twitter that's not really my Twitter. I don't know what's going on. It's the same
What was
login,
interesting? What was interesting? What type of iPhone do you have?
the 12 Pro.
Yeah, no, I just upgraded from Galaxy and Android and everything to finally getting an iPhone
I
and an
don't like it.
iWatch.
I don't like it.
I'm loving the iPhone 13. I have the iPhone 13 Pro, and I am loving everything about it. Except there's one exception. For some strange reason, these headphones I have plugged in right now uh, work great in Zoom. They work great for everything else. Discord, I
No,
go to,
no,
it
no,
won't work.
nope.
It won't work.
I do like my phone as far as its function. It functions fine for an iPhone. I am iPhone illiterate, so for me, it's a struggle. It's mostly user error. I will not say it's actually necessarily the phone. I prefer my Android that works more like a computer, so I can actually run it because I know
Yeah, yeah, because
how.
that's exactly what happened with me. Is I and the reason I did it is because
That's what this is, Pro
one,
Max. Yeah.
yeah, one, I was free. I got a free upgrade to the iPhone 13. You know, because I paid my Galaxy off, and two was also because the rest of the family all have iPhones, and there's been some texting and communication issues for whatever reason. Like texts wouldn't go through.
I had that happen
Um,
with my mother at one
yeah.
point. Yep.
So I was just like, you know what? Uh, I might as well make the switch, and it's free. And I tell you what, the camera on these
Oh,
things
the camera's
is
amazing. That
amazing.
my favorite part of this phone. The only thing I can say I absolutely love is the camera quality. The first night I
Yeah.
got it was right before 4th of July this year. It was before the 13 came out,
Hmm.
and I last year, and I went out and went to my buddies who was putting off fireworks, and I was watching the fireworks through my camera because it did a better job than I could actually see in real life. The colors were coming through vibrant and everything. It's like, okay, that was impressive, I will say.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm the only, yeah, like I said, that thing with Discord just annoys the hell out of me, you know, because
Yep.
it's like what, you know, so I wound up having to use like some when I go on Discord, I have to use like these wireless Bluetooth headphones that you know, why
I
can't they
still
just
got.
stay why can't they just stay powered? I always got to plug the damn things in.
I'm
Um,
terrible about saving my old electronics. I don't know for what reason. It's kind of like nostalgia, I guess. I still have my old BlackBerry that they're talking about. I still have my old Palm Pilot up there somewhere, and I still have a Razor phone. You remember the Razor? Yeah.
oh yeah,
So
oh
so
yeah.
I still have all them. I still have my IBM 3.14 laptop I used in high school.
I had the like I don't have any of that stuff anymore because I traded it in order to get the upgrades, and you know,
Yeah, I'm
but I had
stubborn.
a black
I don't trade
I
in
have the
anything.
BlackBerry. You know, I kind of wish now I would have kept my Galaxy, but the fact that I was going to get a $700 discount kind of changed that. You know?
I see. I kept my G6 because if I want to play games or something on it, while I'm because my other phone I can't play a game on there. I get so many notifications from every. I'm involved in quite a few different social medias. My notifications are
Yeah,
going off all the time. You can't play a game. It's impossible.
yeah. Well, I turned
Yeah,
my notifications off, so I
I
have
don't though
notifications.
because if
Well, I
someone
just
is
check.
if someone's going through something in Discord, I want to be able to try and jump on as quick
Oh
as I
no, I
can.
understand that. And
Yeah.
Tim, I've complimented you before, and I've said you're doing things that I couldn't do, and a lot of other people couldn't do, and that's because of the type of man you are and the kind of heart you have, and it's very commendable. It's very commendable. You know, the other reason why I wanted to do this is because I hadn't seen you in a while. I hadn't talked to you in a while. I hadn't,
Yep.
you know, and and it's also because I was like, you know, yeah, I got my own issues going on, but it's tame compared to,
I haven't been
you
able to get
know,
into the Stew Crew in a while because I've just
you're busy. You're busy.
all the time. Yeah, and then I just opened up the new show today, this pilot today for the show, because everybody's been in our mixing DIY mixing chats has been asking for the Saturday show. Even I've been missing watching the Saturday shows, having Fresh on and or
Mhm.
the VC, and someone needs to fill that gap because it's unfortunate. It sucks, and did the same thing like I did with advocacy. Been waiting for someone else to do it. No one did it. I got to step up.
But I mean,
So
when Scott Hall died, and I had posted a few things about it, and you reached out to me. You reached out to me, and I was just like, that is just, you know, I mean, this wasn't a friend, although it felt like I lost a friend, but it wasn't a friend. It wasn't somebody I knew. Um, I've met, there's a lot of people I know in the industry. There's a lot of people I've met in the industry. There's a lot of people in the industry I've never, like I couldn't just approach Dwayne Johnson. You know, I couldn't just approach, these guys. I'm engaged, and we were talking about what kind of wedding we were going to have. We were talking about because we're going to do it in Vegas,
yep.
and one of the things we were talking about was like having like Elvis marry us, or some
Okay, that'd be
impersonator.
I could see that with you, and that would be actually a lot of fun.
Well,
I
no, then we were looking at the Mrs. Sinister was looking at the different impersonators that you can get, and like you could do Darth Vader, you can do all kinds of craziness, and there was a Hulk Hogan,
oh no,
and I was like, I'm not having Hulk Hogan unless it's the actual Hulk Hogan. I'm not having Hulk Hogan marry us. I would look like such a mark. Just, and then there was also The Rock, and
hold on,
I said,
hold on. I can see it now. To you, brother.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and I said, and then The Rock came across. I go, I couldn't do The Rock either. I would look like a mark. I'm not going to do that. Hulk Hogan would be funnier, but it would. I go, unless it's the actual Rock. And
No,
I
that could
remember
work
talking.
too. That could work
I was
too.
talking to not the real Gerard Butler.
Oh,
He's like Matt, you could make it happen. And I'm like, look, by some small chance that we were getting married that day, and there was a UFC event going on that The Rock was going to be at, maybe, and this is a very strong maybe, I would have the stones to actually approach him if I could even get to him
well,
and
then
ask
the
him
other
for
thing
that.
is that he probably isn't ordained either. Might be an
Oh,
issue, but
that can happen in 5 minutes on the internet.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's true.
yeah. But in reality, but the one I actually wanted to do was the Sean Connery impersonator. I wanted James Bond to marry us.
That would be kind of cool too.
But I want him though. But at one point, he has to act like the Sean Connery from SNL.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, you know, where is there anyone here who thinks that these two should not be wed? Speak now or forever hold your peace. And then he says that, and then he goes, I'll tell you what your mother told me last night.
Uh,
That would be just hilarious. But I mean, who knows what we're gonna do? I mean,
I mean, I'll be
uh,
honest with you. Reach out to him anyway. Reach out to the real stars if you want to. I'm telling you,
well,
you'll be surprised. I have made connections in the past year with people in music industry, acting industry that talk to me on a regular basis every now and then that I never thought would speak to me, let alone respond to me. And we actually
mhm.
are kind of becoming friends, and that's something that the world got smaller. It really did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, that would be hilarious. I get to see just the Rock impersonator, doing the it doesn't matter if you say just all
Yeah.
that shit would be
Do
hilarious. But
you smell what the missus is cooking? At the end.
wish I'm hungry. No, but uh, you know what we originally came here to talk about. Drug addiction in the wrestling industry, deaths in the wrestling industry.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing, though, is that it's not going to end anytime soon. We've made amazing steps through things that are so much better. Like Undertaker was quoted not so long ago saying he preferred the way things were back in the day, to where you go into a locker room and guys were playing cards, guys
Yep.
were drinking a couple beers and shooting the shit.
Now
Now
they're all
everyone's
walking
playing.
around playing their phones.
No,
Yep.
well, they're playing video games,
Yep.
and he didn't mean that in a derogatory sense of like knocking the new generation or anything like that. And he's since clarified that. He said because it's just different. And I think I was the guy that sat in the gorilla position and just watched the shows.
Frank. No,
Well, what do we say?
he says as long as she's not cooking with clotted cream. Frank was in an after show, and so was Dave. We were talking, and I have to test the SSA clad cream for the upcoming Noted quarterly, and
Uh,
it was brought up. We're talking about the clad cream, and Lady Liberty gave a description that would make you turn a little green at the gills just thinking about it. So yeah,
well, I think I've been on some either shows with you or some other shows where we were talking about making a blowing mud e-liquid. So,
I made it for you.
you
It's
did.
on there. It's on ELR. Yeah.
I've never seen it. No one. You sent it to me. I need to
I
see it.
sent it to you. I
You
even
did.
send it to you. I'll look it up and send it to
Send it
you
again. Send it again, because
Yeah.
I get dude. Just here's one other thing I want to talk about, because I know we're starting to run short on time. But
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
they'll get going
uh,
soon.
but one thing that I've been noticing on social media is everyone is now a journalist. Everyone now has an opinion of everything. And at the end of the day, uh, everybody thinks what they prefer in wrestling is better. Like I had somebody, they were doing a live stream and they were talking about, you know, just the wrestling industry and the differences between AEW and WWE, and why do you prefer WWE over AEW or AEW over WWE? And I said, look, here's the difference between WWE and the rest of the pro wrestling industry. AEW being at the top of that. WWE is a television show.
Yep.
You know why that jackass stuff happened? Because either Fox or the USA Network uh, had deals in place to where they were going to be able to get the rights to the Jackass franchise, the Jackass movies, and air it on their show on their networks at a certain time. So, and then the Jackass people were willing to come in and pay money to the WWE to promote all this and promote its event. It's a corporate industry. WWE is a corporate television show. Everything is scripted. The wrestlers are scripted most of the time. They try to get their own stuff in when they can, because they're still pro wrestlers. The rest of pro wrestling, AEW and everything, is a pro wrestling show that is on television. Yes, you have to have a rundown and a script and everything, but in AEW, the wrestlers are given, oh, what am I talking about? I'm talking about this, and then they go out and do the promo. In
Yep.
WWE, they are given a script, handed a script, you say this word for word.
Yep. They
In
haven't.
wrestling,
They kind of put a kibosh on the liberties during the Attitude Era because that got a little
yeah.
carried away.
Oh yeah, but did you see in Mania? Did you watch Mania? I don't know if you watched
I
Mania.
didn't watch it this year. No.
Okay, the Jackass match with
I
Johnny
heard about it.
Knoxville against Sami Zayn. They at one point had a giant hand come out of nowhere and smack the shit out of Sami Zayn, knock him on his ass.
Yep, I heard about that.
Mark Henry tweeted out when that happened. It's nice to see the child Mae Young and I had is getting into the business. Because if you remember during the Attitude Era, Mae Young was doing an angle with Mark Henry where
Oh my God, I remember that.
and
Yes.
she gave birth to a hand.
Yep, I remember that too. Yeah.
So and they had some like Raw show not too long ago where it was like a Raw reunion, and somebody opened a door and it was Mae Young before she died. Mae Young standing there with a guy in a hand suit with a face, and then the guy shut the door immediately. Like what the so that was pretty funny that happened. But yeah, it's stuff like that I'm glad is gone. But the freedom for a wrestler to be an artist and go out there and perform his craft, it's like, okay, tell me who's going to win or lose. That's fine. Tell me how we may have to start the match. That's fine. But then let me and the other guy come up with the match and put the match
Yeah,
together.
they used to
If
be
I need,
used to be able to call it their way and play it a
yeah,
little bit, and make it a fun show. Now it's like
and
you do
that's
this.
and that's why, like, just this past Monday on Raw, when Cody came out and he talked about his dad and talked about how his father had never won the world title in WWE, and how he wanted to win the world title for his father, and everyone accused him of having that promo scripted, and he said, no, I was allowed to go out there and shoot straight from the heart. But the promo, even though him, it was him giving his true feelings and shooting straight from the heart, still has to go down on a script because it's live television. They have to know kind of a general idea of what he's going to say, and when's the last line is he going to say, so they can cue the music for Seth Rollins to walk out there. You know,
Yep.
Everything has to be, because it is a television show. So
Yeah,
those are
this
the big.
isn't this
That's the
isn't
big
the old
difference.
days of a live event that was televised. Now it actually is a television show.
Look at
It's
the
different.
Grammys, or not the Grammys, well, the Grammys too,
The
but the
Oscars.
Oscars. There were teleprompters going on with scripted jokes for the comedians to say. Chris Rock, most of the comedians just ignore them. They just come up with their own stuff. But Chris Rock was not going on a script, but he knew that he had this amount of time as the teleprompter was going to tell his jokes and to get what he needed to get in before he had to go to present the award.
Yep.
He knew that because that's how television has to work now. You can't just go in there, and they've had this happen in AEW recently with William Regal, where they've had to cut parts of the show out because the wrestler went too long,
Yep.
went way too long. And you have 2 hours of television time with 20, 25 minutes of commercials, or even longer, depending on what you're advertising. So it has to be that way.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a fact of life. They're not the things that change. They have to change in some ways, to make it. They're trying their best to, and like during lockdown and stuff, you had all this just in house, all the glass, only two of them in a ring at a time. All that stuff
Mm-hmm.
has to happen, and that changed the dynamic. And I'll be honest, at first they fumbled it really badly at first, but it did get better. They managed. I mean, as crazy as it was, even that video audience that you could, if you looked, you could
Thunderdome.
see the same people like several places that had a Thunderdome feel
Well,
exactly.
the Thunderdome. Well, that's what it was called. It was called Thunderdome. And the craziest thing was that people were doing some pulling some shenanigans where they would sit there and they would watch the show, and then at some point they'd get up and like put a cardboard cutout of Chris Benoit watching or they put a wrestler from another promotion on watching the show, or there was some really bad ones, like a guy, these two that got dressed up in these Halloween costumes of like like somebody killing a nun or something. Just there was some bad things. What I did not like was that they were telling the audience, the Thunderdome, who to cheer for and who to boo for, who to boo. That I did not like. You pay a ticket to go to a show,
You get
you
to
get
say
to
what you
cheer
want.
and say whatever the hell you want.
Yep.
You know, and I'm sorry if that ruins the character that you're trying to build. If you built him up better and let him put some input into the damn thing, maybe it would get over. But when you get
Without help.
people, when you're getting that's the other thing too is AEW. Everyone that's working behind the scenes there is a wrestler or was in the business somehow. WWE has television writers from television shows that are really just trying to get a credit so they can go work on a movie or a better television show. They hired this girl and they fired her the next day because of what she said, where she talked about how she got a writing job with WWE, and and she didn't even know who the champion was. She didn't even know. She's like, maybe I should learn who this people are so I can write. And she said that publicly, and so it made the company look really stupid. So Vince fired her the next day. You know, um, so that's one of the problems that's going on, and that's the only kind of little fear I have for Cody. But I know Cody's smart enough that he's just not going to do it. He's just like, no, I'm not going to do
I
that.
apologize. I doubt she'll ever hear this, but I have to say, or Nikki Bella thinking Vader is going to speak.
Well,
You
that
think
was
she?
Nikki did that on her own.
I know, but I mean, this would be one of those things where WWE's got to be like, oh my gosh, they gotta be, they gotta be wondering. How,
I was surprised she was there. I was surprised they actually let her
I'm
come on
surprised they let
camera.
her come on camera after
Yeah,
that.
but
Yeah,
I think I'm almost willing to bet that was one of the reasons they didn't have Vader with one of the wrestlers present,
they
because I thought
probably
Mick
changed
Foley.
the whole venue.
I thought Mick Foley would induct him, and
That would have made sense. Yep.
yeah, I thought because some of the other guys that would have inducted him are all dead now. So
Yeah.
I thought Vader, and they weren't going to invite Cornette, so who was Vader's
No.
manager, so they were going to invite Cornette. Not that Cornette cares. So that is one of the best feuds that's going on. That is AEW versus Jim Cornette. That is just absolutely hilarious because people don't understand that Jim Cornette is working a gimmick and he's playing up to. I mean, not that he doesn't feel this way, but he's playing his character, the Jim Cornette character, in the 21st century, and in these modern times. And this is how he's doing it. I just think it's genius. I think it's really fun. Listen to him review the Jackass match with Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville. I that where my side pain my muscle
Laughing.
started was I was laughing so hard. But yeah, I think all that stuff is great, and I'm hoping Nikki Bella went somewhere and kind of crawled in her own little hole for a little while, not knowing that Vader was gone.
I mean, I can kind of get it if she just it could have escaped her with everything she does. She's busy, but at the same time, to make that comment, being a part of that community, is a little embarrassing.
Well, that makes me think that she was just talking to try to sound good,
Yep.
not realizing Vader was gone. Like she really wasn't really a fan of Vader's or knew
Yep.
really anything about Vader. I would get it like somebody that doesn't pay attention to the industry, and they used to watch Vader and they're no longer into wrestling. And then they make that comment, I think I'm actually going to watch the Hall of Fame because they're inducting Vader. And when I was a wrestling fan, I was into Vader. And oh, he's dead. Oh, damn, that sucks.
But
But
someone
she
who was really in it,
in the
even
business,
when she was in the business when he
whose
passed.
whose
When he
sister, yeah,
passed.
when he passed, whose sister is married to a guy that's currently a top star on television. I mean,
Currently and
okay,
in the past in WWE for
yeah,
a long time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's I mean, what a just you
On
just want
that
to like
ridiculous
you want
note,
it,
we
yeah,
need to start wrapping this up because I
yeah,
think I'm starting to get hungry because we
yes.
mentioned food and I'm trying not to think of what Lady Liberty said because that was disgusting. Um, chat got it. Ugh. And stuck up for me. Thanks, guys. So, but yeah, thank you for caring. And yes, I did reach out to you because I know that how much in the past we've had conversations about it. I know
Mhm.
how much when people that have been around that you respected passed, and I knew that you respected Scott
Scott
Hall
Hall.
because we had talked about it before.
Mhm.
So that's one of the reasons I was like, I wonder how Matt's doing with this, and that's exactly how it goes. And I do this a lot. If you guys notice, I might surprise you with reaching out to you just because I know I do pay attention to what people pay attention to, and that's a knack. And I don't know how to explain it because there's a lot of those little notes in my head, a lot of them. So you might be surprised the
Yeah,
day I reach out to you to make sure you're all right. So
yeah, and I tell you, I told you how much I appreciated it, and privately, and I tell you here on the show, it meant a lot to me that you were thinking about me because I've dealt with so much death, and especially recently with the death of my father, and
yep.
which I'm still not over. I'm still not 100% on. I still, I don't wake up anymore and go and see something on TV and go, oh, I got to call dad. Oh, I don't do that anymore. But I wake up every morning and there's three pictures on my wall and a sign. The top picture is a picture of my father and holding me when I'm a little boy, and holding my dog, my puppy, that was named Chewy.
See
Uh,
you in the morning,
then,
Frank.
and then below it is a picture of he and I as adults. Um, and then right below that is a picture of he and I when I was a kid fishing. We caught a bunch of trout and we were shaking hands with the big thing of trout. Then right below that is a sign that says bullshit. And the reason that sign is there is because he kept that sign next to his recliner, on the wall next to his recliner. So anytime the kids would come in and start complaining to him, he'd say, hey, and he'd point at the sign. And then right below that is a picture of the my dog Chewy, the most recent Chewy, who had also died in 2020, which was So I wake up every morning and I look at those photos as good memories and a reminder of my own mortality. And like I could I turn 46 next month, and I could easily just say the hell with it. With the amount of pain I'm in, the amount of I don't have to be on this health journey.
To
I
help
don't
you
have to. I could
give you
have
your
easily,
motivation, though, right there
yes,
every
I
morning.
could have
Yep.
easily been a pro wrestler here and milked the shit out of this. I could have never left the house. I got a lot. I got a workers' comp case going on right now, and I could have easily done those things where I could have never left the house. I could have done, any of the physical therapies or things they asked for me. I could have just balked at it or went in there and fell right on my face. I didn't want to do any of that. I wanted to be legit. I wanted to tell the truth, and that's why I started doing the videos. That's why I started doing the health journey, because I wanted to show that I was giving 110% in trying to get my health back and to get better. You know, and
As a
that's what I've
bonus,
been doing.
you gave motivation to others as well. That's a big bonus.
Yeah, sewer
Yep.
rug. If you're watching, push-ups.
Yep. Yeah. Nick Green,
um,
push-ups. We haven't done that in a while. You got to come in and do it.
Well,
Got.
that kind of, I mean, that was with Nick. It was kind of more just like something for the vlog or for the show,
Yeah.
or just kind of it's more entertaining. But with Matt with one T sewer rug, I'm he's actually like it really is motivating him to try to do more because he works a lot. He's got kids. He's busy. You don't have a lot of time. I've discovered that just being a stepdad, that you have to, you know your time, things the kids need, things people need, things that need to get done, they have to be a priority. You can't say, well, I can't do it because I got to go to the gym. No. Okay. So if I'm going to go to the gym, I got to do it at this time. And then, you know it was a big thing for me because, like I said, I didn't have kids, I never had children, so I was used to just being doing my own thing, you know. And
Yep.
so and I'm not perfect at it. I make a lot of mistakes. There's times that I should be spending time with the fam when I'm just here laying down and licking my wounds, you know. But I try. I did try, and I put in my best effort, and I do the best I can,
Oh, thank you, Nian.
because it's the plus side of it, of having a family, is so magical and so amazing. Like I said, even as an atheist, I say I'm very blessed.
Yep. That said, you have made a great challenge here, and we I wanted to immortalize a little bit as best as we could and talk about some of the greats that are gone and the ones that are still here. We mentioned a few of them. Undertaker being one that finally in the Hall of Fame. We've been waiting for that for a while.
Well, that
and
was going to happen anyway,
yeah, yeah. Neon Koala, like I said, it's great to have you here. Yeah, tomorrow morning, Frank's show, 11 a.m. Eastern on Daytime Frank's channel. I'll be there with them. Uh, Hopefully, Tam doesn't oversleep. Come on, Tam. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun show tomorrow morning. The DIY. I know I do a lot of these, but it never gets boring. It's always something new. I found it something I actually. It's been a while since I had a hobby that I could do
hmm
inside on a regular basis. This is one that I actually absolutely love and enjoy. And
Well, I would do more of them if it was just me. If I was just, I would do more of them. But like you said, I have responsibilities. I have things that need to be done,
yep.
and I have to try to balance it out the best I can.
Well, this kind of filled in the gap with my daughter being 21 now. I don't have to. I don't have that responsibility at home anymore. It's like I needed something to fill the gap anyway. So this fills it. I took on a little more than I anticipated doing, but it's the mixing is the labor
So
of
that
love.
shows you're passionate, though. That shows
Yeah.
you're passionate. If you take on more than you thought you were going to take.
Yep. And thank you so much. Thank you for doing the videos. If you guys haven't subscribed to Matt Sinister, Club Sinister on
Hashtag Club Sinister. We'll bring it up. It's on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube.
yep.
At Club Sinister. I'm doing, another a video will be dropping tomorrow. Um, Basically, what these videos are one, the main thing is putting it out there, showing that I'm not trying to hide. I'm not trying to do doing everything the doctors and the lawyers are telling me I'm supposed to do. And I'm trying to go beyond, trying to push past the pain. Yes, lately I've had a lot of roadblocks. This is, because you push past the pain. Sometimes you wind up creating
Sometimes it
more
creates
pain.
more pain. Yeah,
It
like right
creates more
now.
pain.
Be
Like
careful
right
tomorrow.
now, yeah, no, well, no, the video is from my workout session on Wednesday.
Oh, okay. I was
Yeah, I
gonna
don't
say
post
if
the
you're going
video. I don't put.
tomorrow,
Yeah,
be
I
careful.
was doing that. I was like trying to post the videos the same day, but that got to be like almost work, and I'm
That's
not doing this for work, So I was also at one point I was going to the gym 5 days a week, and then
oh,
that led to me getting hurt, and or worsening things. So I cut back to 3 days a week, and I've been trying for the most part to keep it up 3 days a week, but sometimes it's two, sometimes it's one, because my body is just. I mean, I'm just. There's a lot of
you're
pain.
not trying to keep yourself ring shape anymore. Remember that you're not doing
Yeah,
ring
no, no,
shape.
no, 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 no. That's what I've told myself. Like when I was trying to like do strict dieting, do the keto diet and do the strict dieting, it drove me crazy because I'm not an athlete anymore. I want to enjoy pizza on a Friday night. I want to get a pastrami burger once in a while. I want to go to breakfast and have chicken fried steak.
Have dinner with your family.
Have
Now that you
dinner with
have
my
you
family.
have an actual
Yeah.
family at home, you know. Yeah.
Yes. When I want to be able to cook dinner for them and partake in what I cooked. I was trying to do that at one point too, where I was like cooking spaghetti or soft tacos or beef stew or something for the family, and then I'd be sitting there with a salad,
Watching them eat this yummy
watching
food.
them enjoy this food.
Yeah.
I don't need to do any of that anymore. Do I wish I could? Like I've often joked that I want to have my head cut off, have the chin tucked, and put on Arnold's body from Commando. You know,
Oh
uh,
yes, yes,
I
that's
mean,
a good image.
yeah, but in all reality, yes, I would like to be a hell of a lot lighter, and I'm continuing. I got down from 412 pounds down to 337 pounds,
That's a lot.
335, and I've put a little bit of weight back on, especially because of the holidays. I put some weight back on, and but also it's just like you know, it's all has to do with calorie staying, keeping yourself in caloric deficit. If you're burning off more calories than you're eating, you'll continue to lose weight. If you have days where you don't, you actually consume more calories than you're burning off, you're either going to maintain the weight or you're going to gain a little weight. And
Yep.
I've gone like this, been kind of like my credit score, you know. Um, and There's sometimes I get really down on myself about it, but then I start to think about it and I start to put two and two together and I go, I haven't given up. I'm still doing it. I'm still pushing forward. And, let me also give a shout out to the guys at the Green Room and the
Yep.
Shed Time podcast, and everyone in the Vape Stew and the Grim Green Cool Kids Club, Grim Green himself. Let me give a shout out to all those people because they have been an absolute, just amazing part of my life and have really helped me, keep going, my family, my fiance Laura, the kids JD and Lily, they just having so much of this positivity in my life and this love in my life is what's motivated me. Because if I was all alone, if I didn't have any of this, I'm not saying I would have done myself in because I already tried that once and I'm not going down that road again. But the chances are that I would just be just sitting in a room and you know maybe I become part of the couch. I don't know. It just I you know I don't want to give up. I want to keep going and keep fighting. And every time I hear about a wrestler passing away, or even anybody, or I lose somebody in my life, or I have a setback, yeah, it's depressing. I live with bipolar disorder, so it's a hard thing to balance. But eventually, I tell myself, keep going, don't give up. Even if you have a setback, no matter how far the setback is, keep going, don't give up. Forgive yourself, move forward, continue to move forward.
Yep. That's a good note to go out on, actually, right there. I like that.
And like
Like,
it or not, it's just going to have to be that way because I'm the expert and you're not.
that's a good one. All
Anytime I
right,
get to
guys.
do that again, I'll do it. Yeah.
Yep. Listen to a little bit of Adam on the way out with the red. It just felt like the right thing. It kind of gives you that feel of like seeing red, for like you're getting pumped up for the ring, but at the same time, all the things you're dealing with at the same time. I kind of like. I picked this song tailored to it. This is Adam Pilarzic's song, another cover song he did for me. I appreciate it very much that I have this versus having to just use the other. Thank you, Matt, for being on tonight. It's been great. Take care of yourself. Take care of that back.
You too.
And as we lose people, it's hard. So
It is,
you
but
know,
you keep yourself, it keeps you reminded of your own mortality. And, as an atheist, I will say, this is it. This is all you get. You get this life and you don't get anything else. And once it's over, it's over. And there's nothing but darkness and nothingness. Remember the never ending story, the nothing? That's what it is. There's nothing, and so why not choose life? Why not choose to try to be happy Why not try to make the most out of your situation instead of dwelling on the negative and wanting to wish that things were better, but they're not. So you're just going to be down on yourself and hating life. Uh, Choose to be positive.
Choose to make me positive, move forward. Great ending note.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye, guys. You have a great night. I will see some of you tomorrow. Hopefully, tomorrow on Daytime Frank's show. And if you're catching us on replay, leave a comment if you have any questions or anything you'd like to answer. Good night. Bye.
They say freak when you're singled out. Red filters through. So lay down. The thread is real. When his side goes red again. Seeing red again. Seeing red again. Things change if you won't contain. Slip away to clear your mind. When asked who made it show, the truth he gives into most. So lay down, the thread is real. When his side goes red again. They say freak when you're singled out. Red filters through. So lay down. The thread is real. When his side goes red again. Seeing red again. Seeing red again. Things change if you won't contain. Slip away to clear your mind. When asked who made it show, the truth he gives into most. So lay down, the thread is real. When his side goes red again. They say free